Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Life is better with the feather.
Embarrassing on so many levels. So many levels. The Kansas City Chiefs had so many ways they could have won this football game tonight. Things that we saw happening in real time. Things that we'll go back through again, or I can bring you the receipts. Things we talked about around the studio. Things that we tweeted about. Discussed at every turn. And the Chiefs felt no particular need to test any of those theories, to go in any of those directions. And so you have the Kansas City Chiefs losing on the road at the Baltimore Ravens 36-35 with so many different reasons that we could look to. So many that we will look to over the remainder of tonight's show. I'm Joshua Brisco, Rudy Salazar producing around the building, Beards McFly producing on the other side of the glass. It's all brought to you by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Something I thought was interesting from the very, very end of the game there. You can see on the sideline, John Harbaugh asked Lamar Jackson if he wanted to go for it. I thought that was interesting because there were a couple times last week where Patrick Mahomes wanted to stay on the field and Andy Reid pulled him off of the field. That was frustrating. The Chiefs were marching down the field to win the game. They were very near, if not already within, Harrison Butker's field goal range. I had no interest in them settling for a field goal at that point because I would rather trust the MVP, the best football player in the league, rather than to trust a kicker, even a good one. Harrison Butker has his ups and downs. Didn't he doink an extra point earlier that did go in? Did I imagine that? That happened, right? And several times over the course of the game, I tweeted out that I was really, really tired of watching the Chiefs run the football on first down. Sometimes it was all right. Most of the times it set them back. You had a drive where they started at basically 2nd and 12. And it's the worst way to move the football whenever you have Patrick Mahomes. The Ravens did a great job of containing Tyreek Hill tonight. I don't even have his full stats pulled up yet. He was very limited. 3 for 14 receiving. He had more yards rushing than receiving on one carry. Holy smokes. I would have guessed higher than that. The Ravens did a great job of focusing on him, which also let Travis Kelce go for 7 and 109 with an incredible touchdown because he's always open. You have Patrick Mahomes finding Byron Pringle and McCole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson because he's Patrick Mahomes. And as you are moving down the line to get into field goal range, to hopefully just score a touchdown and end it there, you hand it off on 1st and 10 again. Now look, Patrick Mahomes made a mistake earlier in the game. He tried to make something, and he's obviously incredible at this, generally speaking. But Mahomes got tripped up. He tried to make a pass that he shouldn't have tried to make. I get it. But if I have to watch the Chiefs lose a football game because Patrick Mahomes tries to do too much, okay. I could go the rest of my life without ever watching the Chiefs lose a game again because they stopped themselves on offense. Because they hand the ball off to a player who was never going to have a chance to live up to the way that he was acquired by the nature of his position in a way that is not complicated and is not difficult. Clyde Edwards-Helaire seems like a lovely guy who in 3 years, whenever he's on some other team, making an average salary or whatever, and will be a lovely piece to have in a backfield. If he's one of the several guys the Ravens were using, he'd be a lovely piece to have. But there's no reason to give him the football on 1st and 10 whenever you're trying to ice the game, because you have Patrick Mahomes. There is no reason to run the ball on 1st down almost ever whenever you are playing to go score actual points. It's been a while, but it happened early in the game last week, and I'm sure it happened in a spot or two over the course of last year. But sometimes Andy Reid goes back into his shell. And John Harbaugh walked out onto the field on 4th down and asked Lamar Jackson if he wanted to go for it. He said yes, they went for it, and then he ran right through Anthony Hitchens and Ben Neiman, who are supposed to be some sort of unstoppable force because they fix everything for the Chiefs' defense. Just ask anybody with the Chiefs. And it was over. I got to give credit to Rudy for bringing this point up earlier tonight. The Chiefs have spent too much in their front seven. Rudy did a little fist pump. The Chiefs have spent too much on their front seven to get toasted 2 weeks in a row. If you've listened to me at all over the course of various editions of Almost Entirely Sports or over the postgame show over the years, you know that I am pretty confidently saying this. Running backs don't matter. You might get one or two exceptions over the course of any individual football season, but individual running backs really don't move the needle on their own. Running games can, but it's really hard to get beat by a running game if you have an average defense and Patrick Mahomes. And last week it got close. And tonight, in part, it happened. And again, you can splice this any number of directions. But tonight, Andy Reid got conservative. John Harbaugh let it hang. And Andy Reid's not going to change in that regard. And I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know what else Patrick Mahomes has to do to earn not running the ball on 1st down. On the last drive, on the previous drives before that, maybe we find out after the game that last drive was actually an RPO or something. That last run on 1st down. Maybe we'll find out it was an RPO. I don't know. But like we could just go through the group right now defensively. Tyron Matthew comes back, has 2 picks, and that's great. Dan Sorensen was a mess. I don't know what Juan Thornhill has to do to play. I really don't. I know Willie Gay is hurt, but Nick Bolton, for all the praise that he has earned as a run stuffer, this run defense is terrible. Anthony Hitchens, for all of the praise that he gets as a leader and a guy who makes everyone around him better. Steve Spagnuolo brought that up to me when I asked him about Tyron Matthew. He brought up Anthony Hitchens unprompted last week, saying that, hey, I mean, Tyron Matthew is one of the most impactful guys I've ever coached on a defensive unit because he makes the guys around him better. But Anthony Hitchens also exists among a similar level there. He said that a few days ago. If he made everybody better tonight, it's really bad. Because in the middle of that defense, it was a mess. Just washed out against an offensive line that we just spent the last several days talking about how brutalized it has been by injuries. This is a crushed Ravens team. Alejandro Villanueva was terrible last week against the Raiders. He had to move to left tackle, and I could not tell you a time that I heard the name of Chris Jones or Frank Clark making a meaningful play at any point. They spent, $6 or $7 million on Jarran Reed? I haven't heard his name this season. I really like Derek Nottie. What did he do tonight? Colin Saunders and Tershawn Wharton are these fun stories, really physical, supposed to get after the passer. Lamar Jackson, the times that he was under pressure, is when he jumped and then threw it to Hollywood Brown 15 yards downfield, when then he dragged some defensive back with him for another 15 yards. I don't know. I don't know what you do with this. It's just failures on every level, man. It's terrible. This was a terrible way for this game to end. And whenever things weren't terrible, Patrick Mahomes was distributing the ball to the guys that he wanted to move the ball to. When the offense got put behind the sticks, it was because they were forcing running plays when this team has no business doing that. Again, there are so many places you can point, and we'll take some calls in a little while. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know who else. And you can point fingers in any number of directions, and you'll probably be right. But the decisions made later in the game are the ones that you remember, typically because they're the ones that have, the greatest impact at that point. And it just makes me sick that we're sitting here with Patrick Mahomes having every damn accolade you can find in the sport. And I'm still tweeting 5 times over the course of the game that I'm sick of them handing the ball off on first down. Who is that good for? Why is that necessary? It's silliness. You have Patrick Mahomes throwing for 11 yards per attempt, and Clyde's out here on his second run of 3-point whatever. You can go to the EPA if you'd like. I like the EPA. I know it's a new season. Maybe I need to give a refresher. EPA is expected points added. And you can have this on a play. You can attribute this to a player. And whenever the Chiefs threw the ball tonight, they averaged, this is with an interception in there as well. When the Chiefs threw the football tonight, they averaged .54 expected points added per play. So every time they threw the football, they added half a point to what the algorithm expected them to score. Whenever they ran the ball, they averaged negative .23. You're talking about a almost 8 swing from running to throwing the ball. And I'm not even saying you have to throw it 90% of the time. But if you're going to run it, do it in RPOs. Do it whenever you can put the defense in a difficult position. Make them make the choices. Not like this. The Ravens, conversely, and this is extremely rare, averaged .25 EPA per rush and .03 per pass. They were much better running the ball than they were throwing it. And as someone who will tell you at every turn that running backs individually very rarely move the needle on their own, and running games can, but it's tough. Chiefs made it look easy tonight. With all this talent in the front seven, they don't spend anything in their corners. Everything goes in the front seven and the safeties, all of it defensively. Tonight they're running out Charvarius Ward, who they got in a trade as an undrafted free agent. L'Jarius Sneed is a 4th-round pick. Rashad Fenton was getting a bunch of work as a 6th. Mike Hughes they got as a late-round pick swap. Those are your corners, okay? I don't like that strategy very much. But the reason they can do that is because they don't spend in their front seven. Or they don't spend in their corners, so they can spend in their front seven, so they can spend a 2nd-round pick on Juan Thornhill, and eventually a whole bunch of money is going to go to Tyron Matthew. Obviously, they've already gotten a whole bunch of money in that regard to this point. And Dan Sorensen's also there, getting all the work. And they still hand the ball off to 16 times the running backs. Mahomes had a carry. Hill had a carry. I don't understand. I don't. There is some sort of internal obligation amongst this coaching staff. And I mean, Andy Reid is one of these guys. He's talked about it. And Andy Reid will throw the ball more than most coaches. Eric Bieniemy is a former running backs coach. They throw the ball all the time. Whenever you need it, let Patrick Mahomes handle this. In some of these difficult situations, give him a vote. It really frustrated me. I think there were 2 incidents of this. I can't remember the second one. But last week there was the 4th and whatever it was in the red zone. I don't know what's going on there, Beards, but that's what we always do, right? Well, okay. There was the play where they ended up kicking the field goal down 8-0 out of the gate, where they absolutely should have gone for it because they're a team quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes was waving a play in, saying, "Hey, let's go for this." And Andy Reid pulled him off the field. Today, Ben Roethlisberger had a quote where he wanted to go for it on a 4th and whatever, and he was asked about it after the game, and he said, So a reporter said, "Does Tomlin not let you get voice there?" He said it's kind of hard to whenever the field goal team, maybe it was the punt team, is running onto the field. Football is evolving, and Andy Reid is at the forefront of this evolution so often, which is what makes this so infuriating to me. Because Andy Reid is one of the best coaches in football at like 95% of the things that it takes to be a head coach. Locker room stuff, managing your players, obviously like offensive inventiveness. Patrick Mahomes is not the quarterback he is without Andy Reid. So why are there these little hang-ups? It's so frustrating. And again, like I said, we'll take some calls here in a second. I'm sure that the 5 or 6 people we've got on the phones right now might have 5 or 6 different things to hone in on, and I'm guessing you're probably all going to be right. Because there was so much in this game that was so frustrating. They also probably should have gone for 2 earlier in the game. I wasn't going to circle around on that one too much. But if you go for that and get it, things are a little different. But I also don't know. My standards might be lowering on some of that stuff. Beards, let me know here. Do you want me to take a few calls right now, or am I going to take a break so we can get everything all lined up? I don't know what your break situation is, and I also don't know if a vein's going to pop out of my neck at any point. We'll take a couple calls. We'll lead off with Gary. What's up, Gary? How you doing?
Oh, don't ask. It's been a while since I've called in.
It's been a long time. I was worried about you, Gary.
But I think one thing that's going to hinder this team, and it hindered them, and it's going to hinder them, this team will never blow anybody out with this defense. Because this defense will not come off the field until points have been scored by the opponent, be it a field goal or a touchdown. And you're not going to get turnovers all the time. You've got to stop teams, and they can't do it. And you're right. Chris Jones, does he know what the words keep, contain mean? How many times tonight did we see those guys getting sucked in on the same play in and play out? And this defense we're playing with 9 guys. Sorensen and Neiman aren't NFL players. They shouldn't even be at this level. They call him Dirty Dan. I call him Slow Man Dan. He's horrible. And Ben Neiman, if it wasn't going to get bleeped out, I tell you what he is, because he's soft. If you watch him against the run, he'll run 10 yards just to avoid the play. He doesn't want any part of anything physical. And you're right, Jaron Reed, what's he done in 2 games? Chris Jones, no-show Chris Jones tonight. These guys can talk, but can they play? But, you know, everything that Brett Veach has done, the depth on this team is horrible. I mean, it revolves around 3 players on offense and 1 guy on defense. And, you know, Matthew deserves to get paid, but watching him tonight, Does he want to come up and stick somebody? It's great that you want to go back and play the pass, but, as a safety, you need to come up there and stick your nose in there occasionally too. And he doesn't want to do that. He had 2 stupid penalties. And this team is stupid things week in and week out, and they're not fixing them. And the biggest one, and Andy's not going to do it because it's winning. It's loyalty before winning. Is he's going to hold on to Spagnuolo. Tell me one player that's played in this defense for 3 years that's actually taken a step forward.
I will, Gary, I appreciate the call. We're going to have to jump out here because Travis Kelce's actually coming to the podium. But I've got everything that Gary said written down. I want to talk about that in a little bit. But first, here's Travis Kelce.
Problems. Fix the issues. Turnovers are big. I mean, on the offensive side, just accountability, making sure you're making the blocks and then setting up guys to, do their job. And that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that we're playing 4 quarters of football and not letting up at any point in the game. Man up. Man up. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and that's just not to Clyde. That's to everybody in the building. That's to everybody in the locker room. We'll never point a finger and say this is one person's loss. That's just not how we roll here in Kansas City. We'll fix it. It's a 4 quarters of football that we got to fix, that we got to get better at. Yeah, we thought we were going to see a lot more man, a lot more blitzes, but and that's the thing. When a team is rushing 3 and playing off coverage, we got to be able to put up more points, flat out.
Are you surprised at all that Patrick was trying to throw you the ball? It looked like he was going to be sacked, or was that just another play that you think is going to work?
I don't know which play you're talking about. I just know it.
Were you surprised he tried to throw it?
No. Usually he gets that ball off. Just a good play by them, and we got to be better on the offensive side. I'm sure Pat will say the same thing.
Good. Travis, just take us through your touchdown. I mean, it looked like maybe 7 guys had a chance at stack on you.
What you saw was a lot of teamwork, man. I wasn't the only one out there. I was just the one with the ball, man. Had a lot of guys working to get guys downfield, and that's what we pride ourselves on in this building, is trying to spring another guy for a touchdown. You saw Tyreek on Pringle's touchdown do the same thing, and that's just those are plays that we have pride with.
All right, thank you.
There's Travis Kelce. I imagine most of these press conferences are going to be on the shorter end, as they usually are after losses. I wanted to go through a few things that Gary brought up there while we have a second, because some of those I think are really fair. I'm not out on Spags. I'm going to probably stick on Spags for even longer than I need to, I would imagine. Everything he's done with the cornerback group, I think, is worthy of praise. Everything else, probably, I mean, right now you can look at the group of the guys in the front 7. You can look at Sorensen and Thornhill, and you can ask some questions there. What Spags and the staff has done with the corners, I think, that would be my answer to Gary's last question of what's gotten better. This is the first game, maybe a little bit last week, but really this game today, Chris Jones looked out of place. I don't have a pushback on that at all. He was setting the edge against the Ravens is a hard thing to do. He was not able to do that. It multiple times it popped up as an issue. Frank Clark as well. Connor Christopherson tweeted this out, and I thought it was sort of funny and sort of depressing that Frank Clark got sealed off at one point by a 5'7" slot receiver. That's embarrassing. I also won't say that Ben Neiman doesn't have a spot on an NFL roster. I don't think that's fair. He should not be one of your top 3 linebackers, though. The Chiefs have addressed that by drafting 2 linebackers in the second round in the last 2 years. That's also not what I would have done, because it's not a position group that I'm willing to put that kind of investment in, but it's what they did. Obviously, Willie Gay is hurt, and they probably should have made some other moves in trying to retain a Damian Wilson type or something like that who can help you in those situations, like in games like tonight. So I do think there's plenty of room to ask those questions about the depth and the places the Chiefs have spent money. Again, they spent $6 or $7 million on Jaron Reed this year. Could you have tacked a few $1 million on that to add even more to an offer to Juju Smith-Schuster and tried to get him to Kansas City? I would have done that, I think. There are plenty of places you can ask those questions. Dan Sorensen was awful tonight. I mean, that's just it. That just is what it is. Part of his allure is that he's where he's supposed to be all the time. He wasn't there tonight. We'll take a break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power, Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. Whenever we come back, we'll hear eventually from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. A lot more to talk about here tonight. Plus, we'll take the calls of everybody who is on the line right now. I'm Joshua Brisco here with you as the Chiefs fall to the Ravens 36-35. We'll talk about a whole lot more whenever we come back.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Crown Sports Auction, the Midwest leader in game-used memorabilia. Consign with the Kansas City Pros. Register at crownsportsauction.com. It's free. Call for free appraisals 913-961-0929. 913-961-0929.
If you're looking for a new vehicle, you need to check out Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia. They've got a large selection, including the redesigned 2021 Kia Sorento with an upscale new interior, the 22 Telluride, which is one of the best values on the market, or the first ever 2022 Carnival. Plus, all new Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Visit OlatheKia.com to find the Kia you're looking for, with incredible incentives and dealer discounts. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, just a short drive from I-35. Warranty is limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Enjoy the great weather this fall on your new deck. It's time to head for Kansas City Deck Supply, the most knowledgeable source for decking in Kansas City. KC Deck Supply urges you to deck it right the first time with Fiberon decking. Fiberon offers eco-friendly, beautiful outdoor spaces designed to endure. You'll get the quality you demand at a price you can afford. Check out the newest location in Lee Summit at the Pine Tree Plaza Shopping Center, in the Northland at 152 Highway in North Oak, or in the Metcalf 103 Shopping Center in Overland Park. Online at kcdecksupply.com. Kansas City Deck Supply, for everything you need to build a better deck. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Plus, players have 3 nights a week to play Powerball. Now Monday nights. Every ticket you play creates opportunities for Missouri students. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. It's time to get ready for all the big games. No one does watch parties better than Hy-Vee. Let Hy-Vee help you party in style with a huge selection of official Chiefs apparel, paper goods, party supplies, and so much more. Start off your game day right with bakery fresh donuts from Hy-Vee for your whole team. And then feed your hungry team with a perfect party tray. Burgers, brats, wings, and ready-to-bake pizza. No time to prepare? Let Hy-Vee quarterback your party with full-service catering, home delivery, and setup. Elevate your home gate with Hy-Vee, the official grocery sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Your money management is now manageable. With an account from Central Bank, you'll have all the tools and technology you need to move, manage, and maximize your money the way you want, when you want. And you have the perk of local branches right in your community when you need some one-on-one time. Because we do banking better. Open your account online or in person at any of our convenient locations. Central Bank. Strong roots. Endless possibilities. Member FDIC.
Hey guys, it's Grunny here for my friends at CBD American Shaman. Man, I love football and I love big scores. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman stores the day after the game. If Kansas City puts up 30, it's 30% off all the next day at your local CBD American Shaman store. If they put up 50, you got it, 50% off all the very next day. Now that's a big win. CBD American Shaman. Life is so much better with the feather.
Sports Radio 810 WHB, the radio home of the National Football League.
The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
The Major League Playoffs and the World Series.
Strike three pull.
The NCAA Tournament, the College Football Playoff, horse racing's Triple Crown, the NBA Finals.
Deep Giannis, caught it, slam it with the left hand.
Sports Radio 810 WHB, the power of sports.
Mahomes waiting, gets the snap. He's back against a blitz. He's looking, moving to his right. Mahomes giving ground, throws. That one is caught. That's Kelsey cutting left now. Breaks a couple of tackles, 40, down to the 35-30. Near side numbers 25, out of an ankle tackle, 20. Down the sideline of the 10. Jumps over a defender, hit from behind. Diving into the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City. Travis Kelsey did the work. He made the catch from Mahomes. He cut all the way across the field. Some nifty footwork, breaking tackles, and scores.
That's my choice for Andy Reid's call of the game because he told Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball to Travis Kelsey. It's probably more complicated than that, but it's what I would have liked to have seen a lot more, and certainly a lot more later on. The Andy Reid call of the game is brought to you by Olathe Subaru. At Subaru of Olathe, they put you in the driver's seat. Shop their huge selection of vehicles your way, hassle-free, online, anytime at SubaruofOlathe.com. Don't hand the ball off on first down. We're expecting to hear from Frank Clark here in just a second, so we will not pick up any more calls here until after we hear from Clark, and then after that, we'll get Tyron Matthew, and then shortly thereafter, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But coming up next here will be Frank Clark. This will be the first time that he has spoken to the media this season. Kind of an interesting choice. It should be an interesting press conference, I guess. Beards, I would ask that you not pick up any calls and just sort of wait that one out. And let's just hear, let's listen closely to any of the words that may come through. Because, again, he hasn't spoken to the media since the gun arrests, since not playing in the preseason, since his hamstring injury. I'm not sure how many snaps he played today, so that'll be interesting. To find out he's on a bit of a pitch count, it seemed, but he was not effective when he was on the field. So, yeah, just should be interesting. Brandon Kiley tweeted this out in St. Louis. So the Chiefs are spending 25% of their 2021 salary cap on the defensive line. That's the highest percentage in the league. Only 5 other teams are over 18%. The defensive line has a combined 3 tackles for loss through the first 2 games, which is pretty bad. That's a pretty crummy effort. This game's just frustrating, man. I really enjoyed watching Patrick Mahomes in 2018. I wouldn't mind watching the defense hold up their end of things. Also, a stat here from ESPN Stats and Info. The Chiefs do not hold at least a share of the lead in the AFC West for the first time since the conclusion of Week 16 in 2016. It has been an extremely long time since the Chiefs have not held even a share of the lead in the AFC West. They do not right now. Seth Walter of ESPN. Leaders in rush yards over expected from Next Gen Stats. Lamar Jackson plus 109. Derrick Henry plus 48. Tyson Williams plus 45. That would be 2 of the top 3 rushers over expected this week were members of the Baltimore Ravens. There have been a couple of Chiefs players who have tweeted out like, it's just a regular season game. We're going to bounce back. People would think it was the AFC Championship game or whatever. You got to just eat this one, man. This was embarrassing. You're lucky that it wasn't in a bigger situation, but this is an embarrassing game for everybody. Like, even Patrick Mahomes had a pick that he shouldn't have thrown, but, good God. Please don't pretend that this is something that meets the expectations you've set for yourself. That's kind of a point of where this franchise is. The winning culture, high expectations, accountability stuff. That should sting, man. I'm frustrated. I didn't do anything. I sat here and watched it. And I'm frustrated because it's not what you've established organizationally here. I don't know how you could. I'm not saying that you've got your next week has to be completely miserable. But man, you don't have anything for this? Andy Reid kept forcing the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire on first downs. The defense couldn't stop anything. The offensive line, I think, was mostly okay in pass protection. At least Mahomes worked with it. The defensive line bothered Lamar Jackson basically not at all. The secondary was getting beaten by a group of receivers that were half injured. Like, we're talking about Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins. Rashad Bateman was hurt. They didn't have Marcus Peters. They didn't have several key defenders. I don't really know how you find almost anything redeeming from this game, other than that Travis Kelce is unbelievable at everything. I don't know. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. I'm Joshua Brisco. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. The Missouri Lottery and Hy-Vee want to send you and a guest to Denver to watch the Chiefs take on the Broncos. Purchase a $2 Missouri Lottery Powerball ticket at participating Hy-Vee grocery and gas stations to get your chance to win. It's also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. This part's still good, even though it was a loss. The Chiefs' score is your percentage off. They scored 35 points, so you get 35% off all day tomorrow. CBD American Shaman, life is better with the feather. I saw that we were going to hear from Frank Clark, and we might.
Still waiting.
We haven't heard from him since February, probably. And some things have happened since then, so maybe it was a last-minute little sort of PR chat going on. I see Rudy shouting. I don't know if it's new information or not. It's just frustrating. I would like to take some calls, but I'm pretty sure that the law of postgame is that as soon as I hit a button to take a phone call, Frank Clark shows up, and I am really, really interested to hear from Frank Clark. If it was even a different, like almost anybody else, I would be extremely tempted to take these calls. But like, I would like to get the opening moment of Frank Clark's first press conference in a while. I'll read some tweets. You can tweet me at JB Brisco if you'd like. Austin just tweeted in, listening to at JB Brisco postgame is not making me feel better, not even in the least. I am sad. Sorry, Austin. It's not making me... It makes me feel a little bit better, I think. I feel like I'm decompressing some things. The issue, honestly, is that it's not like Willie Gay coming back is going to fix all of this, you know? And the Chiefs are still an extremely good football team, that it is going to win the AFC West and is going to be fine. But it's the way that they lost here, and it's some tendencies from Andy Reid, and it's a really atrocious performance from the defense that just makes me think that there's a real risk we have this conversation again in a few weeks. Like, not necessarily against any particular opponent even. Is there a schedule in here? No, I mean, next is the Chargers. Justin Herbert's good. But, you know, could we have this conversation again after the Bills game, yeah. And if we have this conversation after the Bills game, now we're talking about the Chiefs not having that first round bye. We're talking about them playing in the first round of the playoffs. They're playing in the wild card round against the Ravens. And that's not necessarily where I want them to be. If I had to put a positive spin on something, I would say that there's room for a positive regression because they may have just gone up against the two best running teams in football, in the Bills and the Ravens. Actually, the Browns and the Ravens. Like I'm not sure that there is a better duo of running teams that they could have started the season against. So the rushing defense probably ends up, again, having a positive regression where it's not this bad all the time. But it's still not great. I still don't like it. I'm still worried about, again, it's the depth and also the starters. It is a huge chunk of money going to Frank Clark, who we'll hopefully hear from momentarily, who I'm just not really holding my breath for. I'm not going to assume that the Frank Clark game is right around the corner. And it's one of the things that's frustrating. Good friend Jordan Foote, deputy editor of Arrowhead Report, pointing this out on Twitter. It's like people were mad that Hardman, Robinson, and Pringle weren't getting the ball enough. Now they're mad that they got the ball. I feel all right about the Chiefs' pass catchers, I guess. Because if a team sells out to stop Tyreek Hill, you should be able to find Byron Pringle a couple times. Same for Kelsey and everything. What's frustrating to me is every single time that is not a choice that Patrick Mahomes gets to make. Because that should be in Patrick Mahomes' hands. And if it's an RPO, and Mahomes reads it and thinks that he can put the Mike linebacker in a tough spot by handing the ball off to Clyde or whatever, fine. Okay. All right. But you have Patrick Mahomes. Let him exploit whatever flaws show up in the defense. That's all. Orlando tweets in on Twitter, does anyone sure we signed Jarran Reed? Also, do we know exactly when Willie Gay is coming back? Won't solve everything, but it will help. Absolutely should help. It will not be next week. We know that the short-term IR puts a player on the injured reserve for a minimum of 3 weeks before they can be designated to return. We do not know that it will be that soon. Toe injuries can be nagging. And, disappointing start for Jarran Reed. Not exactly a Chris Jones replacement in the middle. I'd be curious after tonight's game if we see more of Chris Jones in the middle. And now that Frank Clark is back, and maybe you see more Mike Dana, Alex Okafor, whatever, on the edges. I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't totally shock me. From Trent on Twitter, plus side is if this is the defense we see week in and week out, Mahomes might have to throw for 600 yards and 60 touchdowns. And that does sound great. That would be fun. That is the plus side of 17 weeks with a 2018 style defense, 2018 style offense. I also don't think that I'm overreacting. That's not really what I don't like to do that. And again, if you said right now, are the Chiefs going to be in the AFC Championship game this year? I'd say probably. But you just look at like an apocalyptic performance from this front seven that has whatever the stat was that BK tweeted out earlier of 25% of your salary cap is in the defensive line. You've got a bunch of money for Anthony Hitchens, a second-round draft pick in Nick Bolton, another second-round draft pick in Willie Gay, who, again, isn't here yet for this season. Just, tell me where it gets better. All right, here's Frank Clark speaking to the media for the first time in several months.
Feeling good. Came out healthy. So, that was the highlight of my night, honestly. And, just looking forward to getting back out there this week, and prepare for the Chargers. They're a tough football team. Every time we play this team, since I've been here the last 3 years, they give it all they got. Lamar, a heck of a football player. And he does everything that he can. Unfortunately, the last 2 games, there's been some tight games between us. We was able to pull them out, but this game, they took it. They came in, beat us in the rushing attack. We missed tackles, a bunch of key plays, gave them the ball, and didn't make enough plays. It's simple.
Frank, I have to ask this question. I believe this is our first time talking to you since mandatory minicamp, a lot of stuff that happened over the summer. Where are you now with your legal case, and are you facing any kind of suspension that you know of?
My legal team is taking care of everything. I was advised not to speak on it, until, further notice. But my legal team taking care of everything. I have full confidence in everything that they're doing. And, you just got to see in the future.
Frank, the leaders in your locker room, what gives you confidence you guys can learn from this and move forward?
Oh, man, we got a great group of guys, and, I got all the confidence in the world in my guys, on defense and offense. Starting over there on offense, with Pat and, Trav and all those guys. The offense did a heck of a job, fighting for us tonight. Defense, we didn't do enough, I feel. Actually, T, Honey Badger, he came out, had 2 picks earlier in the game that, kind of, switched the tides of the game for us. But, it just wasn't enough. In the future, we just got to limit the mistakes and, the missed tackles. Of course, when you miss tackles, you miss over 10 tackles in the game, that calls for devastation for a defense. So, you got to make the tackles, and you got to, especially when you're going against a strong offense like, the Ravens.
Last question, Adam. How do you get better at tackling during the season? You guys don't hit much during practice or hit at all during practice. How do you get better at tackling during the season?
Well, when you got that one day where you can tackle and it is pass, the emphasis is, on striking and the emphasis is on tackling. So, that's when you got to pop those pads a little bit more. You can't go into practice, running by plays, the plays where you can get, be a little bit more aggressive. You can't tag off on guys and stuff like that. And, sometimes you get lax and you do that. You're coming off games where it was a hard game, a lot of hitting and stuff, so guys are sore, but it's just putting the emphasis on that in practice. When we do got those pads on that day out the week, it's just taking full advantage and, going out there and, just competing and, having fun with it, but, also understanding that, this is going to transfer over to the game in the future.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Was that 4 questions? Worth the wait. Frank Clark. There we go. His legal team is handling the legal things. He thinks that the leaders in the locker room will help the Chiefs learn from all of that. And I don't remember the other 2. Whew! All right. Good bleep, everybody. Let's take some calls, then we'll hear from Tyron Matthew. You hadn't talked to the media since June, and we got 4 questions. What? All right. Okay. Cool postgame. Let's take some calls. Amar, you're on the Chiefs postgame show. You know what? I might give you more than 4 questions. What's up, man?
Hey, Josh. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, man, this game was frustrating. It was really exciting in the beginning, frustrating towards the end, but even throughout the whole game, it was very frustrating to see the defense the front seven, you name it, you said it on and on this whole time. They just can't tackle. They can't push. I mean, anytime a running back or even Lamar Jackson goes towards them, their arms are like freaking jello. They just go right through them. You know, it's frustrating to see that, and I agree with you on the first downs every time trying to run the ball. And I'm like, you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. You know, why not, you know, throw the ball? You know that he's there. You know, and I've been saying this for years, even when we won the Super Bowl like 2 years ago, even when Alex Smith was our quarterback. Defense has been an issue for Kansas City Chiefs. It's always been there, and it's horrible to see them lose the way they lost today, especially off of that fumble. To me, it's just unbelievable that they spend this money and yet they don't. It's just the audacity to just see that is frustrating. Just very, very frustrating. It just ultimately just pisses me off, makes me take off my jersey and everything else. I'm like, why can't the defense do better?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I appreciate the call. Thank you for waiting on hold for a while, and thank you for listening.
Yep.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And again, like, we're frustrated by the performance of a top 5 NFL team. Maybe it's a top 2 NFL. I don't know. But whenever you have all these resources put in, and this, you know, part of this comes around to like having this really silly conversation about like the value of Frank Clark and all the money that the Chiefs are paying him and everything. It's when investments like this matter. And you ultimately end up finding the consequences of some poor financial investment choices. $26 million to Frank Clark is a lot of depth if you can spend it elsewhere. It is a top-heavy roster financially in a lot of ways. This is a bit of a tough one to thread the needle on, but like Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, he's got about a $5 million cap hit. He's been inactive for 2 weeks. Jaron Reed, this is actually interesting. I feel like this number is lower than it was last I had seen. I'm not sure if anything changed. I'm looking over the cap right now. But we're talking about a $6 million cap hit. And maybe he'll earn that over the course of the year. I'm not calling it on Jaron Reed. But at some point, the money matters. Obviously, Clark is the albatross there. It is I'm out here in the same lane I've been for a while now, and I really don't enjoy talking about it because it makes people crazy. It maybe makes me crazy. You spend a first-round pick on a running back that could have been a piece that is actively making a much larger impact on your roster. Not because he fumbled the ball late today, but generally. Because the Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Damian Williams. Because some of the best work from the running backs, you got a nice play from Jerick McKinnon today, who they pulled off the scrap heap. They cut Darwin Thompson, who was fine. It's all the same stuff with the running. I don't want to have the running back conversation for 2 hours tonight. But it's back-to-back second-round linebackers. The idea of, they can afford to make... It was the biggest thing with the running back situation. So they can afford to make a luxury pick. They just won the Super Bowl. Not for very long, you can't. Because you're not in that... You're not guaranteed to be in that spot forever. Depth matters. Your players a year or two down the line matter. And you find these little pockets where you go, man, what... Does this team look different with X, Y, or Z, with that money spent differently, with that draft pick spent differently? And nobody's perfect. No GM is perfect. I'm not out on Brett Veach or whatever. But there's plenty of questions you can ask that I think you could be pretty hard-pressed to find good answers to. Let's go up to Butch next. Butch, thank you for waiting, man. What's up?
Gentlemen, Yeah, not the result we were looking for.
No, it wasn't.
Let me tell you. Listen, all right, I only got a couple points, and I'll get out of your hair. Look, shades of Jamal Charles back in 2015, the loss to Denver, right? Only it wasn't a touchdown. This happens. We've talked about this before, and we're going to have to talk about it again. When you play in the NFL, it is difficult to beat good teams. I don't care who's on the IR, who's on the injury report for Baltimore. That's a good football team. Won a playoff game last year, and it just shows you what it was about. It shows you what their championship, what their medal is going to be if they continue to go into the playoffs and win games. There was a few things that I think everybody already harped on, but that I'll point out again. Look, guys like, when you talk about the investment in the defensive line and guys like Chris Jones and, your linebacker core, what are they used to? Well, they're used to going forward and making plays. Mm-hmm. That's their job, is to dominate the guy in front of them and go and make a play in the backfield. You go back and rerun that tape, you're going to see shots of 95 standing there in open space, nobody around him, and they're just keying him. They're keying off what he does. Mm-hmm. And sometimes for a player like that leave him frozen. Mm-hmm. Now you're thinking more than you're playing. You get guys like that to think more than they play, their level of play is going to decrease. So I think that was a lot of what Baltimore did. I want to give them a lot of credit. Their first 15 plays scripted last time against the Las Vegas Raiders were horrendous. They went out in this game, had a much better first 15 scripted, even though it included a couple of picks, and they were able to parlay that into being able to move the ball 3 or 4 yards at a time. And I'll leave with this. Look, teams like Cleveland and Baltimore, man, you got to put the tape on. What do they always do? Always get 3 or 4 yards. Your team doesn't get 3 or 4 yards, Kansas City. Your team gets big plays. Mm-hmm. You can get touchdowns, but you'll get a touchdown or a 20-yard play, and then the next play you'll get -4, -3, 0. And when you really need it, you can't get those 3 or 4 yards the way those other teams can. Is that really how you want to win going forward? You have some questions you need to have answered. I think you have it on the roster right now, but you got some questions you need to get answered, guys. We'll see what happens next week.
Appreciate it as always, Butch. Always good to hear from you. To that last point, I would just say that you can almost get 6 or 7 just about every play. It feels like with Travis Kelce, they don't go to him 15 or 20 times a game like it could go to a running back. The other thing is with kind of freezing the defensive ends in space, I think it's a good observation, but I also think that's something you've got to be prepared for coming into the game. You cannot be caught off guard by that, and if that's something that Chris Jones isn't ready to do, and I don't say that tongue-in-cheek or sarcastically, like he's a defensive tackle that's just now playing defensive end. If he's not ready for that spot, find me someone who can. And Frank Clark, I didn't think was very good or very capable of doing that himself today either. Beards, I'm going to get the 3 callers who've been hanging on here real late, and then we'll get to Tyron Matthew. We need to take another break. We'll have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes soon. We got to get a hold of Matt Derrick. So a lot of moving parts here tonight, and rightfully so. It's a primetime game and a late game, but it was a feisty one. Next up, we'll go to Jake. Jake, what's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? So I just got a couple things. I'm sorry, but I don't think Dan Sorensen's that good of a football player. I'm sick and tired of watching Dan Sorensen make mistake after mistake after mistake, and then all of a sudden he makes a great play, and everyone thinks he's a good football player. I'm getting tired of hearing about Dirty Dan. The second thing, I think the play calling in the second half, when we had an opportunity to put that game away, we should have done it. We got conservative. I've heard you talk about it now for a while. I just think that we need to trust in Patrick Mahomes and understand that that's the guy who's going to make the plays, and we need to put the ball in his hands and make the big plays, move the ball down the field, score points to put games away. I'm tired of these close games. Thanks. I'll listen off air. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the call, and I've got nothing to disagree with you on. I think Dan Sorensen is a deeply frustrating player for exactly that reason. And I wanted to go back through the play calling real quick because you mentioned the sort of conservative play calling late. And sometimes we remember things not quite right. After the Ravens scored their touchdown, the Chiefs were up 5. They got the ball back. Clyde for 4, Hardman for 8, picking up a first down. Then first down, so that's one run on first down for Clyde there for 4. Next 1st and 10, Clyde to the right side for a loss of 2. Then it sets you up for 2nd and 12. Mahomes gets it to Demarcus Robinson for 3 yards. That was that pass that almost kind of skipped. And then you end up at 3rd and 9, and it's an incompletion from Mahomes. They started behind the sticks because they ran it on first down. They actually did it twice, but they ended up converting on that 2nd and 6. In the next drive, you take a deep shot for Mahomes. Byron Pringle for 23 yards. Who'da thunk it? Next play, Mahomes, Kelsey for 13 yards. Another first down. Next play, 1st and 10. Mahomes to Kelsey for 7 yards. Who'da thunk it? And now you're there at 1 minute and 25 seconds. If you want to play the clock controlling game or whatever, fine. Throw it to Travis Kelsey. It's 2nd and 3. They hand it off to Clyde. That's the fumble 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That stinks. That's a bad way to go about calling plays for an offense that has Patrick Mahomes quarterbacking it. Next up, we'll go to Landon. What's up, Landon?
Hey, Josh. How are you?
I've been better.
I have as well. Just a couple points for you. I was watching the game with a few buddies of mine, and I said something very similar to what you said earlier here on the postgame show, that Andy Reid is a very innovative and very good offensive coach. So don't hear me wrong. He's very, very good at coaching offense. But for whatever reason, there's just a little bit of him that can't let go of that old school way of thinking. No matter how innovative or whatever level of talent he has on the rest of his roster, he just can't quite let it all go. And it's very, very frustrating to watch when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, when you have weapons like Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, that he wants to, for whatever reason, run the ball as much as he does when, especially on that last drive, the Ravens could do nothing to stop the pass. Patrick Mahomes was doing whatever he wanted, and for whatever reason, Andy Reid decided to forego that and give the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was, fine. The fumble, isn't indicative of him as a running back. But nonetheless, very, very frustrating. And the frustrating part about the defense as well, and this is the last thing and I'll let you go, the defense, while terrible, was not even the reason they ended up losing the game. I shouldn't say that. But they could have won in spite of the defense being objectively awful. And that was even more frustrating by the end of it.
I agree 100%, Landon. Good to hear from you as always. I'll get back to your DMs at some point. He's right. It's that it wasn't that the defense was fine. It wasn't. It was awful. But they could have won in spite of it if Patrick Mahomes was allowed to Patrick Mahomes. That's deeply frustrating. We'll go to Curtis next. Curtis, thank you for waiting on hold, man. What's going on?
Hey, Joshua. I think that the points you've made and also your opening monologue have both been excellent tonight.
Thank you.
And I don't want to kind of repeat what everybody has said on the first down run thing. I guess I'll just say that it's particularly problematic in kind of the second half trying to put the game away situations because everybody, including the Chiefs' opponent, knows what the Chiefs are going to do, or at least are more likely to do than in normal game situations. And so they can sell out against the run and create a loss like the Ravens did on those 2 drives in the second half. And I guess I just don't think we can really hope for a change from Andy at this point. He did it all of last year, and it never bit the Chiefs. But tonight it did. I guess the only other thing I want to add is, kind of something that I don't think anybody's remarked on tonight, but I think is something that's fixable and ought to be fixed, is that you mentioned Jerick McKinnon, that nice run and catch he had towards the end of the half. I think in that situation he needs to stay in bounds. And I think he could have gotten down and kept the clock running, and that would have stopped the Ravens from, kicking a field goal, which ultimately, you could argue decided the game. I don't blame him in that situation for not thinking about it, but I think it could be kind of a call from the sidelines. Hey, guys, we're in a good position here. We have 3 timeouts. Stay in bounds if you can.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening. Thanks for waiting on hold a little bit there. I think that's interesting. It had not crossed my mind, and of course I'm more inclined to agree with anyone who starts by talking about how good the show's been so far. I'm not immune to flattery. So let's do this, Beards. Can we get to Tyron Matthew right here? Take a break, come back with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Let's do that. Can we also close off the phones? Not for the people that are on hold right now, but I know we're going to take a little bit before we get to anybody else. So if you're on hold right now, stick around there. We'll get to you hopefully before too terribly long. But let's go to Tyron Matthew, returning from the COVID list last week. Started off with a couple of picks, an amazing beginning to the game, but also obviously one of the leaders on this defense that had a pretty tough night. Here's Tyron Matthew.
All right, you made your return tonight, 2 interceptions in the first half. Just take us through that and, how you're feeling after the first touchdown.
I feel kind of bad. You know what I mean? We lost. It feels good to make plays, for your team, but I'm not, too worried about personal accomplishments right now. I felt like this was a game we should have won. But that happens when you let good teams stick around towards the end. They find a way to win the same way we do. So, just got to get it cleaned up.
It looked like at camp you guys had a lot of reason to be optimistic about the way you're playing defensively. So what's happened between now and then? Or could you see this coming?
This is assignment football. It doesn't matter what defense you play on. It all comes down to assignments, and then from there it's execution. And anytime you, miss a line or you blow an assignment against a good team, they're gonna make you pay for it. So, it really just wasn't our best effort defensively tonight.
Tyron, when Lamar throws that jump pass for Brown, it's a touchdown. When you guys came back to the sideline, what was the issue there in terms of why the coverage was failing?
Just miscommunication. I'll take the blame for that.
Tyron, you have a way of rallying the troops, so to speak. This is 2 straight games now the Chiefs have had issues against the run. What are you telling your guys coming into this week of practice to try to right that ship for the rest of the year?
It's a commitment that you have to make to yourself first. Every play isn't going to be a pass. I think when you play against these kind of teams, the Ravens, the Titans, the Browns, you have to be ready to stop the run. You have to be committed to that. And that's not just the D-line. That's the other guys behind them as well. So it's a team effort, and we just have to be more committed to, stopping the run. It's not all about, the pass and the sacks and the interceptions. We just got to find a way to get back, recommitted to stopping that.
Couple more guys. It's one of those good check games that you going through.
Every now and then you need an ass whooping, and I think our team responds best, when we get punched in the mouth and we're not able to kind of recover from it. So we got some good coaches, man. We got great leadership, and I just look forward to seeing us, turning the page, going back home against a division opponent, another must-win game, a game we got to have against another good football team, great quarterback, great skilled players. This is an everyday, every week thing that you have to stay dedicated and stay committed to. So I just look forward to seeing our group respond.
I know you have on last chance to go to practice in the past month, but talking about fundamental football execution, there's a lot of tackles. How do you rectify that this week?
Well, you come back in the lab, you put your head down, you don't point fingers, you take the coaching, as hard as it may be, and then you just accept the responsibility. Obviously that starts with the leadership, so we can't wait to get back to work. I know I can't. So, like I said, we got another big time game coming up, and so it's going to be important to see how we respond. So, I'm looking forward to it.
All right,
thank you. Yep.
There's Tyron Matthew, part of tonight's Locker Room Report here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show here, presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power, Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. We need to take a break. Whenever we come back, we'll bring you Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes next here on Sports Radio 810.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power Powerball. Now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays.
A KC tradition since 1957 and voted the best steak in Kansas City, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. Go to HerefordHouse.com for hours, new menu items, and to make your reservations. Follow Hereford House on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive specials. Hereford House, voted Kansas City's favorite steakhouse.
Crown Sports Auction, the Midwest leader in game-used memorabilia. Consign with the Kansas City Pros. Register at crownsportsauction.com. It's free. Call for free appraisals 913-961-0929. 913-961-0929. The Whole Person connects people with disabilities to the resources they need to live independently and enjoy the many opportunities this great city provides. We're focused on creating a fully accessible community where opportunities and choices are not limited by disability. The Whole Person delivers programs and services that enhance the confidence of people with disabilities by providing the skills needed to live, learn, and work in the Kansas City Metro. The Whole Person serves both Missouri and Kansas. Learn more by visiting thewholeperson.org.
Hey, this is Joshua Brisco, and immediately after the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football, I'll be live right here on 810 for the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show presented by Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Plus, not only can you listen to the show, you can also watch it live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels, where you can also leave your comments and sound off on the game. That's all immediately after Chiefs Ravens this Sunday for the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show presented by Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Hey Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at the Legends Auto Plaza. Folks, low inventory levels have driven used car values to all-time highs. Whether you buy from us or not, we need your vehicle. At Victory, it's a simple process to get the current value of your car or truck. Simply visit our website and click on the Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer banner. Within minutes, you can view a true cash offer for your vehicle, stop by the dealership, and collect a check. It's that easy. Visit VictoryMotorsKC.com for details.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Giles, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big Hy-Vee. Giles & Jewelry, we're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Giles Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Make your holidays even better with a trip to watch Kansas City take on Denver. The Missouri Lottery, Hy-Vee, and Sports Radio 810 WHB want to send you and a guest to Denver to watch Kansas City take on the Broncos. Visit a participating Hy-Vee grocery and gas location through October for your chance to register. Purchase a $2 Missouri Lottery Powerball ticket for your chance to win. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And go Chiefs!
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Jackson back in the shotgun, 3rd and 8 from the 27. Here's the snap. Jackson back, looks, throws right side. It's intercepted. Picked off by the Chiefs. Back down the far sideline. Tyron Matthew cuts inside, avoids a tackle, and scores. Matthew picked it off. He takes it in for 6, and the Chiefs are on the board first. The 3rd play of the game for the Ravens turns into a pick 6. It's 6-0 Kansas City.
Felt pretty good about things at that point. That's our play of the game presented by the Central Bank of the Midwest. Things got worse from there. It took a little while on some of them, but ultimately, obviously, the Chiefs lose 36-35 in a incredibly frustrating game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Told you we'd get to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That'll be coming very, very soon. In the meantime, though, we get to talk to our friend Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com about all of the things that went wrong in tonight's game, maybe a few of the things that went right. Matt is brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. Better Buzz Bob, now offering electrical services, panels, wiring, generators, updating fixtures. They do it all, offering a whole home electrical inspection for just $99. Call 888-4BOB. Remember the 913. Matt Derrick, how do you feel about how tonight's game played out at each stage, each phase of the game, each individual little frustration that plagued the Kansas City Chiefs?
That's how I feel.
Yep. Thanks,
Yeah.
Matt. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, that was pretty much. I think if I ever had to sum anything up in just a audible noise, I mean, that pretty much is it.
Where would you start if you're going to pick a thing? Because I said this at the top of the show, and I started with some of the things from later in the game that left me deeply frustrated. But I also said that we'd take a bunch of calls over the course of the show, and that we would have lots of callers that would point their first finger in a lot of different directions. And I think that all of them would have a very good chance of being correct. Where would your first finger point go?
I mean, I think you have to point it at the defense for not able to stop the run at pretty much any point in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you could nitpick anywhere you want to and everything. And, I've seen plenty of nitpicking here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I mean, good grief, you made just almost one stop on the ground at any one point. Might have been the difference in the game. And I can't tell you at any point that the run defense actually got anything done. I mean, that was just really bad effort. I mean, even when your head coach comes out and Andy Reid, who is generally not one that really call out his team very often, even he came out pretty much called out his team for the run defense in this game.
One of the things that, and maybe I'm making this bigger picture just because I can't help myself, but the stat was from Brandon Kiley out in St. Louis, tweeting that the Chiefs are spending 25% of their 2021 salary cap on the defensive line. That's the highest percentage in the league. Only 5 other teams are over 18%. The defensive line is combined for 3 tackles for loss through the first 2 games. You've got a ton invested there. Obviously, no Willie Gay Jr. In the linebacker room right now, but you have 2 second-round picks if you count him. The Chiefs have invested in linebacker group, even without counting Willie Gay. You've got a bunch of money in Anthony Hitchens. Ben Neiman is a chief lifer at this point. I don't know if you need to make a bigger picture move there, but it's not like this is something that we thought maybe should be a weakness, or that the Chiefs knew that they were going to just try to skirt by. They've invested a ton in that front 7.
They have, and it is perplexing because, I feel like that what we have seen from this defense, and especially the front 7, is not what we saw from this defense in St. Joe. I mean, I certainly thought that this was going to be a defensive front that was going to perform a lot better across the board. And certainly, hey, you could put some of it on the fact that this was the first action you're getting back from Frank Clark. You're missing Willie Gay, who you were thinking was going to be a really important part of the defense at the second level there at linebacker. There's a lot of pieces. And, I mean, and even then, after 2 weeks, you could look at this still as being the glass half full or the glass half empty. The glass half empty would tell you, yeah, the Chiefs are just absolutely getting gassed and run over. They haven't looked particularly good against the run at any point in time. They kind of rallied together and played 2 pretty good quarters against the Browns last week in the second half when Chris Jones kind of took things over. But other than that, it was really, to a degree, they only just outplayed the Browns for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been pretty ugly. Now, if you want to say it's a glass half full, I'll tell you, Chiefs probably aren't going to play two teams this season that run the football better than these two teams.
Yep.
And this was a game tonight that, simply put, John Harbaugh just said, Lamar, it's your game. This was nobody else. This game was not on the offensive line. It wasn't on the backfield, the receivers. This was just simply a Lamar Jackson game. Those runs were designed runs for Lamar Jackson. It wasn't like he was scrambling out there looking for yardage or anything. These were designed runs for Jackson, and they also let him throw the football. And Lamar Jackson is going to make teams look silly, and he made the Chiefs look silly. So, to me, the next couple of games are going to be really tough tests, because if this defense does not bounce back in the next two games, then I think that the glass half empty folks are going to be right.
I actually mentioned that exact thing earlier, that if there's an argument for a positive regression incoming, it's that the Browns and Ravens are excellent at running the football, and they do it at a rate that is a needle mover. Whenever your average NFL team, it's probably not. It certainly is for the Browns and Ravens. And then I looked at the schedule, and like Austin Eckler isn't Lamar Jackson or any of the running backs in the Browns necessarily, but like Jalen Hurts kind of might be. Like, he's terrifying whenever he ends up in space, and I just don't. I don't know if I am willing to go glass half full, simply because there was so precious little in these two games to make me think that there was just like something a little bit off that's going to get fine-tuned. But I also don't know what's fixable, right? Like, I don't necessarily think that a coaching tweak is going to change things. I don't think that one individual player is going to change things, and so I am leaning half empty, if you can't tell.
Well, and here's, I'll tell you another reason why I could find myself in the glass half full, folks, which is that, to be honest, the Chiefs technically didn't lose this game because they couldn't stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
They technically lost this game because they had some massive communication breakdowns. If they don't leave, Hollywood Brown open by like 30 yards in the middle of the field for a Lamar Jackson under distress to find for a touchdown, Chiefs win this game. There were a few, if anything, it might have been the pass defense that cost them even more than the run defense, because we've seen teams, Exhibit A, Cleveland last week, that have run the ball effectively on the Chiefs, and that doesn't do you any good, because usually the Chiefs, they can move up and down the field with everybody. So if you want to go down and plod down and score in a 14-play drive or something, go ahead, because the Chiefs can outscore you. They can outrun you. They can outpass you. To me, it was the run defense problems they had against the last 2 weeks. To me, a lot of teams are going to have those problems. Yeah. But the huge breakdowns the last couple of weeks that have been really problematic to me have been in the passing game.
That was typically the thing that I was saying last year whenever there were defensive breakdowns and people were saying, oh, well, can you run the ball past the Chiefs and ultimately beat them that way? And I would say no. The pass defense is going to be a bigger deal. It was just brutal. It's just brutal tonight. But you're also 100% right. I also wanted to talk to you about the offense, specifically those last couple of drives, where they ran the ball so much, especially on early downs on those last two drives, and were typically bailed out by Patrick Mahomes, and then you eventually get the gigantic mistake of Clyde Edwards-Helaire putting the ball on the ground. I am so frustrated, and look, if this ends up being an RPO situation and Patrick Mahomes reads the defense and then puts it in Clyde's gut, and then fine. But I am so frustrated by pretty much any time ever that Andy Reid would elect to take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands in a high leverage part of a football game.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that as it was, because I'm going back to look at it and see exactly where they were on the football field at that point. I mean, that was the Baltimore
on the one
39?
which drive? Because both of the last two made me crazy.
Well, the 32 is when they fumbled. So
yeah.
I mean, that is a 50-yard field goal. I mean, that's not a gimme at this point.
Yeah, go score.
With minute 26, I mean, and Baltimore's only got the one timeout left. You're probably talking about 2 or 3 offensive plays. I mean, I mean, especially the ways that since the Browns at that point, or the Ravens at that point were just playing zone protect defense here, trying to give up a touchdown. Or there was, I mean, honestly, on those first couple of passes, I almost thought the Ravens might have just been playing Olay defense, thinking that there's no way that they're going to stop the Chiefs. Maybe they just go ahead and give up the touchdown and get the ball back to Lamar as fast as they can. I mean, they were moving the football well. And why do you take the ball out of Mahomes' hands? That was my question. I mean, to me, you're not in field goal range yet. That was a case of you need more yards. And I don't know that you necessarily need to start running clock at that point. And, and the funny thing is that Andy Reid after the game mentioned that, one of their issues in this game was, putting themselves in this third and long situation.
Huh.
And
how'd that happen?
And one of the reasons why they were third and long situations on both those drives where they ended up in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12 situations in the second half were because they had 2 run plays that went for -7 yards.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even necessarily think it was the running back's problem. I mean, it's still that we're just not seeing this offensive line opening up any holes.
Yeah.
And to me, if that's the case, I don't know why you're taking the ball out of the hands of Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, I can yell about running back value until I'm blue in the face, and I don't have any interest in doing that. And I have. I've already done that, so I will not do it again tonight. But yeah, so that's interesting that you mentioned the offensive line there as well, because that's really concerning. Because I mean, I know it's new and whatnot, but I was not expecting to have even a subpar performance from this offensive line even early in the season. And I don't feel like they stood out in any positive way, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I don't think that we've necessarily seen an impressive performance out of this offensive line yet. I mean, we've maybe seen some individual plays here and there, but we haven't seen holes. I mean, it hasn't been like a situation where Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just, running into guys on purpose. I mean, there's just been nothing there to run.
Yeah.
And, there's a reason why they're averaging 3.5 yards a carry. I mean, there's just been nowhere to go. They've been pretty good at I think, protecting Mahomes, and they haven't, and that's been the biggest goal with this offensive line rebuild was to protect the quarterback. And by that measure, they've been doing a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, yeah, this offensive line is a run-blocking unit. It's been leaving a lot to be desired, and and some of that was, I think, even is creeping into the head of Reid, because even last week, even tonight at that goal line, I mean, we saw him trying to do a little misdirection or a little trickery here at times when they just need to get 1 or 2 yards. And the hope was with this offensive line that this was a group that you wouldn't have to resort to that. And right now, they kind of need to resort to that.
Not exactly the pick-me-up that you usually are, Matt, but an honest evaluation of an unpleasant game. So thank you very much for making some late-night time for us here. You can check out Matt's work at ChiefsDigest.com. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, I'll let you go so we can all get our beauty sleep.
There's not enough time for me to get that much beauty sleep. I have to sleep like 20 years for me to get beauty sleep.
I knew with 100% confidence you would have some sort of joke for that. You did not let me down, because you've never let me down. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Josh. Take care.
ChiefsDigest.com, at Matt Derrick on Twitter for more from the esteemed Matt Derrick. We need to take a break here. I know we got some callers that have been waiting online. If you want to keep waiting, we will get to you soon. But also, we've got to get Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. We'll figure it out. I'll talk to Beards during the break and figure out what our whole commercial situation is, because we got to keep the trains moving here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Casey's own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC is proud to be family-owned, serving the Kansas City area for over 25 years. At Brogdon, you'll always find incredible incentives like 0% for 72 months on many models, including the new 2021 Buick Enclave and Envision or GMC Terrain. And they don't just sell cars, they buy them too. Even if you don't trade your vehicle to Brogdon, they'll still buy yours. Visit the #1 General Motors dealership in Kansas on I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe or at robertbrogdon.com. Must qualify and finance through GMF for special APR.
Hey guys, it's Grunny here from my friends at CBD American Shaman. Man, I love football and I love big scores. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman stores the day after the game. If Kansas City puts up 30, it's 30% off all the next day at your local CBD American Shaman store. If they put up 50, you got it, 50% off all the very next day. Now that's a big win. CBD American Shaman. Life is so much better with the feather.
Unchecked minor plumbing issues can lead to major problems in your house. Get a whole home plumbing check for only $49 from Bob Hamilton. We have certified plumbers available 7 days a week with no overtime charges. Plus, you'll get peace of mind with our exclusive 100% guarantee it will be fixed right the first time. Bob Hamilton, Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. Call 913-888-4BOB to schedule your appointment.
Call 888-4BOB. Remember 913.
If you love golf and want to support sports in Kansas City, be sure to register for the Commission Classic Golf Tournament presented by Veracity on Monday, October 4th at Canyon Farms Golf Club. The Commission Classic will benefit the Kansas City Sports Commission and Foundation, the nonprofit organization who's working to bring big events to KC like the 2023 NFL Draft and the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To register, visit sportkc.org and click Commission Classic under the Events tab. It's the Commission Classic presented by Veracity on October 4th at Canyon Farms Golf Club.
Warm weather is here, so plan now to keep those bugs out with Augustine Exterminators. This is Stephen St. John, and now's the time to establish and or maintain a barrier around your house. Don't let it break down. At Augustine, they have you covered. Augustine Exterminators is family-owned and locally operated since 1966. All of their techs are certified in both Missouri and Kansas. They are a Quality Pro and Green Pro company. Augustine Exterminators also does carpet, rug, air duct, and tile cleaning. Keep mosquitoes away all summer long. For an average-sized yard, it's only $80 a month with Augustine Exterminators. That's right, just $80 a month. Shop and buy local with Augustine Exterminators. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online at AugustineExterminators.com. That's AugustineExterminators.com or 913-359-8627.
Squeaky doors, clogged sinks, finicky engines. When things break around the house, you take care of it. However, when something's off in the bedroom, you just try not to think about it. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? Take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now. Why Roman? Because you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/JakeG and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a healthcare professional and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now and you'll get $15 off your first month. That's GetRoman.com/JakeG. It's really time to take care of your ED. And remember, get started today and you'll save $15 off your first order of ED treatment.
WHB Kansas City.
Mahomes bends back, lifts that right leg, slight bend at the waist, gets a chest-high snap, quick throw over the middle, that's caught across the 30-yard line, cutting left down to the 25, Pringle out to the 20, turns the corner, 15, 10, 5, he's gone! Touchdown, Kansas City! Byron Pringle made the catch in the middle of the field. He cut left out to the near sideline, and he strolls in for 6. A 40-yard touchdown, the catch and run by Pringle. It's given Kansas City a 10-point lead.
I know this is kind of off topic, but I'm 26, I have heartburn now. Like, to the point that I brought little heartburn gummies with me today, which is why I sound like I'm chewing on something right now. It's because I am. I was just talking to Rudy out in the hall, so I was getting more water because I'm falling apart at the seams. And it's not even the Chiefs' fault. Like, this is just a thing that happens now. And I'm just actually trying to finish chewing that and maybe get a swig of water before we take a few more calls. If you're on hold right now, don't go anywhere. We're going to get you in like 1 second. In fact, Rudy just sat down. Hi, Rudy. Nice to have you over there.
How's it going, man?
Well, I mean, you know. Let's take a few calls, and then we're going to get to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes immediately after we get done with that. But also feel free to, to talk for a good 30 seconds so I can keep drinking my water, because that's exactly where I am at this point. George is on hold, and Beard just told me that this is like the George. It's been a while since I've heard from you, George. It's probably also because it's been a while since I've, taken calls anywhere, but it's good to hear from you. How are you?
Oh, well, heck or high water, I'm still here.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
And in keeping with Hispanic Heritage Month, as you chew your little cud there, I am swearing at the TV in Spanish all night.
Excellent. I like that. I would ask you to give me your favorite Spanish swear word, but it's probably still an FCC violation.
Still listens.
Yeah.
I used to actually have a license for that too, way back when.
Well, then I think you can probably get away with it. I'm not sure we can though, so I guess I'll
a license to swear in Spanish on the radio.
That's a pretty good license, yeah.
I actually did that job, sat behind the microphone way back in the day.
I don't think I knew that. Well,
yeah, it was at a college radio station, covered all of 4 blocks around campus.
It still counts though. It absolutely still counts.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Matthew said it great. He said it was assignment football.
Yeah.
So who was the spy on Lamar?
I don't know. I don't know if there was anybody consistently over the course of the night. I'm not sure.
Which is my point.
Yeah.
Because how many running quarterbacks are there in the league?
Not a lot.
Not sacrifice their body every play.
Right.
Okay? But we know that Lamar Jackson is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the question then becomes, where is the plan? Forget miscommunication. Yes, we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
But where is the plan to cover a run quarterback? That, to me, is if you have to point a finger, that's my point of finger.
Yeah. It's funny because you mentioned the assignment and Matthew bringing up, being assignment sound, assignment football and everything. And it did not seem evident to me what the assignments were, which is probably not how you want to do it.
Can I ask then the next question?
Sure.
Forget the enemy, forget Andy Reid. Let's ask our defensive coordinator whose the assignment that was.
Yeah. I'm guessing that Spags will have a very interesting, very full press conference on Thursday.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
Who was the spy on the quarterback? And why wasn't that planned for?
Yeah, and I'm guessing, it's hard on first watching everything all at once and everything. So, you know that. But it seems most likely that they were not devoting any one person to Lamar Jackson and hoping to be gap sound enough to pull it off to where, anywhere he went, there would be an answer. But there so clearly was not that maybe should have at least been an adjustment.
It was gapingly so.
Yeah.
But so here's my, never present a problem without a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Ticker of the tape. Who's the fastest defensive player on the Chiefs by speed?
L'Jarius Sneed would probably be my first hunch. I'm not 100% sure in that, but that might be there. Dorian O'Daniel might be in that grouping. I'm not sure, but I would probably guess Sneed off the top of my head. Maybe Thornhill.
Because that's who I would put as the spy
on
a running quarterback.
Yeah, I think Sneed would be interesting.
Forget gap assignment. Forget that. That is his assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Keep Lamar Jackson from gaining yards.
Yeah.
You know, you can get him in the backfield. You can do all you want for pressure. But if he's crossing the line, that's when your spy needs to hit him.
I would have, at the very least, would have been happy to see them try that in some high-leverage situations, in the second half, anything.
Certainly in the red zone.
Absolutely.
Because that's the threat. That's where he made his mark.
And obviously, there's a give and take, right? You're going to have some amount of sacrifice here or there if you do make a move like that, but ultimately, they were sacrificing plenty already.
That's the silver lining. If the quarterback is holding the ball and he's going to cross the line, he can't throw it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about at least one coverage. He doesn't have to be anywhere. He needs to be spying the quarterback at that point.
Yeah.
Simple. Now, maybe it is simple. Maybe Spags will have something else to say. But that's my solution. Okay, a ray of sunshine, sir.
I'd love it.
And like I said, you never present something bad without good coming out of it. Cowboys beat the Chargers.
They did.
Which means the Chargers are going to be licking a little bit of wound come next week.
Yeah.
And so will the Chiefs. So who do you think will have a little bit more sore spot to take care of?
I think the Chiefs' loss was more embarrassing because they had higher standards for this. Everyone saw it, national television, all of that. But it is funny because I genuinely think that the two best teams in the AFC West are the two that are at the bottom of the division right now, and I don't love that. But your Cowboys made it happen, and I'm excited to watch Mahomes versus Justin Herbert. And I'm also dreading watching this defense against Justin Herbert. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. And we got November looking forward to, sir.
What?
Right here.
Oh, you're right. Oh, we certainly do. All right. Well, I very much look forward to hearing from you after that game. I had to glance over to the schedule. November 21st. All right. The George Bowl.
There you go, boss.
I appreciate hearing from you. Hope you're doing well.
Adios.
Thank you, George. Let's go to Bo here. Bo, thank you for waiting on hold, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? I got a couple of takes. When I look back at the game I was watching today, there was two instances on two drives that was critical. And I look at Creed Humphrey's two bad plays as being really critical to the game because he missed that block, which Clyde Edwards-Helaire got smashed back, I think, 7-8 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then missed Patrick Mahomes, I guess, on the second or third down, missed Tyreek Hill for the first down, which I thought there was a little bit of pass interference on that call, but they didn't call it. The other one was where Creed Humphreys threw that ball, and they ended up back, I believe, at the second or third yard line, which was pretty critical because they were moving up. And the other thing I'm thinking of too is that with the run blocking and stuff, it just doesn't seem like there was either a push on either side of the ball, defense or offense-wise, of blowing somebody off the block to open up holes and stuff. And that goes for the defense either, because it looked like they were just getting beat off the ball, like they're getting pushed around for those holes and everything else opening up and stuff. I mean, it's just, I think there's a lot of fundamental things that need to be fixed, but I don't know if anything good's going to come out of this defense this year because, I mean, the first two games of the year just seems like that run defense is just god-awful.
Yeah. It was terrible. Good points there, Bo. I'll break down a couple of them. Appreciate you waiting on hold. Appreciate you listening tonight. I am not worried big picture about Creed Humphrey. He did not quite make that. I think it's fair to call it a reach block, where Clyde ended up getting whacked there. I think that might be one of those things that whenever you're a little more familiar with your teammates, maybe something like that doesn't pop up. But you're right. The trenches on both sides were absolutely heavily in favor of the Ravens. And there's no way around that at all. It's absolutely brutal. And I don't know what it's going to take for the defense to turn that around. I asked Beards and Rudy to change the TVs to like NFL Network or something. Not only did Beards have Rudy change it to NBA. Shut up, Beards. Not only did Beards get Rudy to change it to NBA TV, it's on the 1993 NBA Finals where the Suns lost to the Bulls.
Yeah, I just thought you would like to see the Suns lose another final.
Have I not been through enough tonight?
In my defense, I handed them a remote and said, "Can you put it on ESPN, please?" And then he said, "You're sure you don't want it on the Church of the Resurrection," which was what was currently on.
Yeah, no offense to the Church of the Resurrection. I just wanted to see a sports thing.
And then I said, jokingly, "Okay, then just put on NBA TV instead." And so he did.
And it's the 93 Finals.
How does this one end?
The Suns losing to Michael Jordan, the second best basketball player of all time.
Listen, it's just game 2, though. There's still hope. There's still hope.
Did you hear what I said about they lose to the second best basketball player of all time?
Kareem doesn't play in this final.
Stupid. Let's go to Tony. Tony, thank you for waiting on hold through all of our stupidity. Appreciate that. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, Josh. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right.
I definitely called you earlier in need of some therapy. So you've delivered some of that thus far. But, you know, when I look back at this, my immediate visceral reaction was just everything's on Clyde. What's wrong with him? Why are they giving him the ball, blah, blah, blah. But this was a whole team loss. I mean, the offense, we can say whatever we want about them marching up and down the field, blah, blah, blah. The last 3 possessions, they scored 0 points. And the defense, we're going to have to get some FBI wanted posters out because Jaron Reed, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Derek Noddy, you know, all of the Mike Dana, all these folks that we were told and fed a line all through training camp that, wow, this front seven, it's going to really be great. Look out. You know, guess what? You've got to wait till the regular season to finally find out what's going on. Yep. And it's really disappointing to me. But the thing that's more, for me, concerning more than disappointing going into the future is that when we start talking about, oh, well, we've just talked about Cleveland, great offensive line, great running team. Baltimore, oh, you know, Lamar Jackson, they just do great scheming things, running quarterback. So we don't have to worry about all these deficiencies. Well, it'll all get fixed going forward. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And this is an issue that's going to plague the team going forward. If they don't start getting some push up front, if this money sinkhole, the front seven, if they don't start getting things together very quickly, it's going to be a long season. And, Josh, I can tell you this. The thing that I am deathly worried about is looking north to Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, that generational talent. Well, we have beyond a generational talent here in terms of this collection of offense. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. Are we going to squander all of this and only look back and have one Super Bowl ring here? I mean, that's very concerning to me because the offense is otherworldly and the defense is not matching that at this point. And in addition to that, I'm very irritated that the coaches don't seem to understand that the league is catching up to them. It's a system. Everybody adapts and evolves. Everybody's going for 2. Everybody's going on 4th down. And we haven't ratcheted up our own approach to match that. And if we're not going to match what other individuals are doing in terms of evolution, if we're just going to remain in a static place, oh, we're great. We got Patrick. We got Tyreek. We got Travis. We don't have to do anything out of the blue or out of the ordinary. We don't have to innovate. Then we are going to be looking at it Green Bay type Aaron Rodgers thing. And I think we're stayed. I think we're static. I think that we're at a point where we just believe our own press headlines. If we're told the front seven is great in training camp, we believe it. If we are told that, the offense is going to be wonderful, and we don't look at what others are doing to us, they're imposing their will on us, and we're not doing that to them. And that's scary for me.
Yeah. Tony, I agree with whole bunch of that. So thank you very much for the call. Thank you for waiting on hold. Good call, good points. I want to talk specifically about the the Packers thing real quick, because that thought went through my head tonight, and I wasn't going to bring it up. Because to be honest, agreeing with a ton of what Tony said there, to be honest, I think saying, is this the start of the Chiefs becoming the Packers, I think is a little bit of an overreaction from a really frustrating game. But I thought about it. It crossed my mind. And I don't like it. I think there's a difference between predicting that and being worried of that, being afraid of that. And I get it. I really do. I don't like to scapegoat like 2 or 3 players because I think that sucks. I think it's usually not fair. I think it's usually not necessarily all-encompassing enough. But if you look at draft pick usage and places where a whole bunch of money has been spent and there's not a return on that investment, that is when you start to see something that looks like a dynasty wobble a little. When you see conservatism in the offense, when the rest of the league is learning to be more aggressive, it makes me nervous. I think Andy Reid is a great coach with really frustrating flaws because they're flaws that I can see. I don't know if NFL coaches across the league are good in their locker rooms, you know? It's not something I have any way of really, really knowing. But that's frustrating because I can see it. And I hate having that microscope there. The Chiefs do have some of those generational talents, but beyond it, because they have it in different positions. Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey are obvious ones. I could make an argument that to some extent, Tyron Matthew and Chris Jones are also generational talents. But I told you early in the offseason, and then I as the preseason came along, I sort of softened on this, but I don't think it was ever 100% lock that Chris Jones was going to be a Madden 99 on the edge like he should be in the interior. I don't know. I mean, I feel pretty confident that Frank Clark's going to have an impossible time living up to that contract. That Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have an impossible time living up to his draft slot, which isn't his fault. Neither is Frank Clark and his money. Clyde got drafted in the first round. Frank Clark got a whole bunch of money. Great for them. Happy for them, genuinely. And I really am not here to say that I think that the one Super Bowl ring and then in 8 years or whatever, Patrick Mahomes is going to try to get out of Kansas City. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't think it's bad to be aware of that and to know what's happened in Green Bay. Because I think that you can learn from someone else's history on things like that. And I don't want to fire Spags. I don't think this is Spagnuolo's fault. I don't want to fire Brett Veach. I don't think it's his fault. I think just about everybody tonight bears some portion of the blame. I do not think this is the end of the Chiefs' chances to win the Super Bowl this year. I do not think that this team is worse this year than it was last year when they got to the Super Bowl and could have won it if they were healthy. I think it's a really frustrating game that hopefully we can learn some things from. I think that's where I'm at right now. I was much more frustrated 2.5 hours ago or whatever it was. Now I'm just sort of, I'm still frustrated. Maybe less angry? I don't know. Good call, though, from Tony. Good calls all across the board tonight. Appreciated hearing from everybody. I'll give a brief insight, and then we don't have to take a break before Reid and Mahomes. You can go straight to them here, Beards, right? You can go straight to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. We'll do that here in 1 second. I don't, during almost entirely sports nights, weeknights here on Sports Radio 810, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast as well. I don't really take calls because sometimes we're doing this show. I'm happy to take texts and Twitch comments and tweets and all that stuff, but because, you listen to enough sports talk radio, they can be hit and miss. Tonight, you guys have been good, so I appreciate that. thoughtful calls with well thought out angles, creative opinions, and everything. Good stuff tonight, everybody. Appreciate that. Especially after a loss when I think everybody could have been a whole lot more deranged. Pretty happy with how all that went. So appreciate everybody who's been along for the ride. Let's go to Andy Reid here now. Beards is pointing at me. We're gonna do that at the beginning or at the end?
I thought we decided we were gonna do this at the beginning.
No, we absolutely might have. Let's get to Andy Reid's press conference. But first,
Andy Reid is presented by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. And by Andy's Frozen Custard. Enjoy the world's finest frozen custard at Andy's. Made fresh every hour. 8 KC locations and 2 more coming soon. Andy and Andy's, a winning combination.
appreciate everybody at Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Andy's Frozen Custard. Sometime, hopefully next week, we're going to have a seamless transition to play that beautiful liner for the wonderful folks at Robert Brogdon and at Andy's.
Well, I'm not here next week.
So we'll finally have a chance to get it right. Exactly. Here is Andy Reid's opening statement as he took the podium following tonight's Chiefs loss.
There's really nothing to report. I mean, a couple guys got nicked up, but not bad. We'll see how everybody is tomorrow. Yeah, listen, turnovers, they kill you in this league, and we had 2 of them down the stretch, crucial time. So we've got to do better. We've learned from that. Got to tackle better on the defensive side, and we'll work on that and get better at that. So guys played hard. The other group took advantage of the turnovers.
I think it was about a lot more than just the turnovers. Mahomes was trying to do too much. Clyde's came at a horrific time. Mentioned the tackling directly. I think there's a lot more in there. Andy Reid was asked more directly here about the issues and what caused their issues stopping the run.
Yeah, so, it's a team effort. So when you have the opportunities to tackle, you got to tackle. And I think we did very well with that the first half in particular. Gave up a lot of yards there. So you got guys in position. You got to make the tackle. You got to make the play. And we got to do a better job getting off blocks. I mean, that's what we've got to take care of. And but again, all that said, you have the ball driving down. That last series, what should have been the last series, and we fumbled. So, it was. We knew that they're a good run team. So but the guys pushed through, and we had ourselves in a position where we could win the game and didn't win it. So we've got to learn from all of this and do better.
This isn't really like a criticism. I don't want to sound like it's sour grapes. I would like to hear what specifically they need to learn, Maybe we'll get to some of that. But I'd like to know specific. You said we got to learn from that, and that's totally fair. I'm curious what specifically they need to learn from how things went down the line there. Andy Reid also asked about specifically their lack of success running the ball in the second half.
Yeah, so listen, I think that's how it went. We ran the ball decent in the first half, and then came back with it the second half and had a couple plays where we lost yardage. That didn't help us. And then came back with it again. We ended up with a turnover, but we felt like we could throw the ball too. We felt like we could do both. But, we probably didn't get enough yards rushing.
I mean, that could have been a time to learn, in my opinion. So we ran the ball okay, and then we ran the ball poorly, and we could have learned at that point to not run the ball right there, and instead we ran the ball. I don't know. That's just me. I'm not an NFL head coach. Reid was also here asked about Patrick Mahomes spreading the ball out to more receivers in this game as opposed to week 1 was all Hill and Kelsey. Today they shut down Tyreek Hill pretty well. What else did Patrick Mahomes get accomplished there?
Yeah, it was kind of take what you get. And, we had routes that were good versus all. And, Wink did a nice job with what he threw at us and ended up getting us there at the end.
More in Wink Martindale, Andy Reid talked about how the defense played them, blitzing less often, and what he saw from the Ravens' defensive game plan.
Yeah, they blitzed less. We put ourselves in some long yardage third downs there, that second half. And can't do that, not against that team. So they got to be workable, and you're looking at 12, plus yards, and that's a problem against guys that can rush passer. So, but again, you got to take care of first, second down, and against a good football team. You got to play better football against a good football team. That's what you have to do.
I mean, yeah, they put themselves in some long yardage situations because they were running the ball terribly. Getting frustrated again. I thought my blood pressure was dropping, but you can't say we got to learn from this and then go, we put ourselves in some bad situations, so we kept running the ball on first down for losses, and then Clyde beefed one. We got to learn for that for next time. Could we learn? I mean, I know it's not that simple, and I don't like to just be a be better coach kind of guy. I don't like that. But that's a frustrating one to hear because we've heard it before. Here's Andy Reid on Clyde's fumble.
I'm not sure how, I haven't seen the replay of it, but it looked like from the naked eye that he didn't quite have it all tucked in there. I don't know if there was an exchange problem or what happened, but it looked like the ball turned a little bit and the guy got his hand on it. So, I'm not worried about him fumbling. Other than this one, we got to fix it. But he's not. That's not what he is. I mean, he's not a fumbler.
No, and Clyde is not. It's not like Clyde is a perennial fumbler. Like that's true.
I think this was his first NFL fumble.
I think that's right. I think last year he had 0. Why are you in that situation? If you just acknowledge that one of the things the defense did to make life harder on you is to have you putting yourself in negative situations. That's not something that happens whenever you throw the ball. With Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, throwing to Travis Kelce, who I can't remember who I'm stealing this from, but runs like a graceful rhinoceros. Oh, Sterling Holmes tweeted that Travis Kelce runs like a graceful rhinoceros, but he's got hands made. He's got like Doc Ock's hands, and he's always open. I just want them to throw the ball to Travis Kelce. That's all. Let's go to the defensive side. Has Andy Reid been caught by surprise by the defense's performance so far this year?
Yeah, listen, we played the two best run teams in the league, right, back to back here. So, and yeah, we need to do better. I mean, that's the bottom line. The thing I see, we've got to make sure that we tackle, right, given the opportunity, and then get off blocks. I mean, those were kind of the two primary things on that side, and then the turnovers. I mean, it's not a secret here on what took place. I've got to make sure. I mean, it's my team. I got to make sure that I get those things done, and it didn't get done the way that it needed to be done tonight.
He's right about them being two of the best running teams in football, but what are you going to do about that? Because getting off blocks and tackling is something that you do prepare for. It's not like that was a schematic thing that you weren't expecting, right? Like, we all knew that was going to be in the game plan as a thing you'd like to be able to do successfully. I don't know. Let's hear from Andy Reid on Patrick Mahomes' interception and if that's something you just have to learn to live with from Mahomes.
Yeah, so you don't want, obviously, the interception. You don't want him to throw those. But he's made some plays doing that. But in that case, that probably, he'd probably like to have that one back.
Definitely like to have that one back. We'll hear from Reid on that, or hear from Mahomes on that in just a second. But Reid also talked a little bit about the confidence that he has that they'll be able to bounce back from a tough loss.
Yeah. Well, they're real about things. They know. I mean, this isn't something that they don't know. I mean, I think it's obvious what took place in this game, and we've got to do better. We've got to fix that. So the leadership in there, they're real about things, and they'll get it fixed.
it's really nice, coach speak. I do just sort of think I'd love to know what getting it fixed means. Because, again, if it's tackling, like, fix that before the season starts. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bleep hole about it. Maybe it's too late. Maybe I'm tired. I don't know. Did you just nod really hard, Beards?
Yes, I'm tired
aggressive
too.
nod.
We're all tired.
Okay, I thought you were agreeing with me being a bleep hole.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to bring that one back up.
It's just like some of that stuff is just empty, and it's not that Andy Reid doesn't mean it. He's just not gonna tell us what they're working on or whatever, but just like kind of like shedding blocks and tackling. Like we all know that that's a part of the game.
Where you just yelled, running the ball. On first down, he says.
With one hand. Carry it like LaShawn McCoy does. And then run backwards. Last clip from Andy Reid. He was asked about the red zone defense and if there's anything glaring he sees there.
Yeah, so there are a few different things, but they're working on it and trying to secure it where it's better. And we'll keep working on it until we get it right. Yeah.
All right, there's Andy Reid after tonight's game. We'll get to Patrick Mahomes here in just 1 second. And then we'll eventually hear from John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, which is usually more fun after the Chiefs win, but less so after a loss. Patrick Mahomes coming up here, but first.
Patrick Mahomes' press conference is brought to you by your Kansas City Acura dealers. They are partnering with Patrick Mahomes in support of his 15 in the Mahomes Foundation. Test drive to make a difference and enter to win a Mahomes jersey. And by Xfinity. Xfinity Internet. Stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Can your internet do that?
Let's start off with the last offensive drive. What did Patrick Mahomes think of that in the real moment?
Yeah, we got in the field goal range pretty quickly there. And then we were pretty much just trying to get down as close as we could to let Butker kick the field goal. And the dude made a good play. He was getting blocked. He threw his hand out and hit it directly on the ball. So I mean, we were executing. They made a play, and you lose games when teams make plays like that at the end of games.
He just flat out said they were trying to get there for Butker. That sucks. I hate that. That makes me angry again. I tweeted at the time, why would you play for a field goal here? It's a really good Ravens team. You're going to leave this up to your kicker. You have Patrick Mahomes. What's more of a sure thing? Mahomes to Kelsey over and over again, or letting Harrison Butker kick?
Run the ball, then kick it.
Why is that the plan?
4th and 1, kick the field goal.
Why?
Punt it, actually.
I mean, you just said it. Can you play that again, please?
Well, let me open it back up.
Did you close it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. You just play the very beginning here.
We're good.
Yeah, we got in the field goal range pretty quickly there. And then we were pretty much just trying to get down as close as we could to let Butker kick the field goal. And
that's good. That's fine. The Baltimore 32. Like that is a hefty field goal. That's certainly no gimme. Butker's great. So I mean, I guess if Clyde holds on to the ball there and you just run the clock out, you're gonna let Butker have a long kick. But wouldn't you rather give Butker? I mean, I guess maybe not, because he doinks extra points sometimes. But wouldn't you rather give him a 30-yard attempt? And there's some people who've talked about giving the defense a break or running the clock or whatever. Throwing the ball to Travis Kelce inbounds is the same thing clock-wise as an 8-yard run. It's just that sometimes it turns into a glorious rhinoceros running for 40 yards instead. Which doesn't happen in this team's running game very often. Here is Patrick Mahomes on his first interception thrown in the month of September and what he saw as he tried to make that play.
Yeah, I should have just thrown it to D-Rob in the flat. I saw D-Rob in the flat, and then I saw Trav come back to me. The dude grabbed my leg. I thought I could kind of get my other leg down. He kind of spun me, and it's a dumb interception. I mean, it's probably one of the worst interceptions I've probably ever had.
That's a good answer. He should have thrown it to Robinson. He went through his thought process. You're going to talk about fixing something or having something to work on or whatever? That's at least specific. I appreciate that from a press conference standpoint. What about the Ravens defense? We talked a lot leading up to the game, talked about it some here in postgame, that we kind of thought that the Ravens, or would the Ravens ultimately stick to their guns and blitz like crazy or try something different? What did Mahomes see?
Yeah, they put a lot of shell. They kind of played over the top of Tyreek pretty much the entire game. They chose their times to kind of double 87 a little bit. But, I mean, if you look at a positive, I thought the other guys stepped up and made plays. I feel like teams are going to start doing this. You saw Pringle with a big play. You saw McCole make a lot of tough catches. D-Rob with a big touchdown play. So those guys are going to have to contribute for us this year. And so to have them have games in a caliber team that we played today, we can take that as a positive going into the next week.
I agree with that also. Super interesting, though, that Tyreek Hill had 3 more yards than Michael Burton and Jody Fortson, not combined individually. They both had 11. He had 14. As many yards as Jerick McKinnon, fewer yards than Blake Bell. Crazy stat line, 3 for 14 for Tyreek Hill because they keyed in on him. But we talked about this last week. I don't mind whenever Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce get all the work because it means that the defense is letting you do that. If they're going to try to make Tyreek Hill disappear, find yourself Byron Pringle. Great. That's a wonderful way for this offense to evolve. It just, tonight, it worked fine. They put up 35 points, and it should have been in the 40s. It at least should have been 38 if they settled for that field goal at the end. That's all okay. The only issue I had with the offense was some of their very conservative first down runs and how that drive ended, that last drive. Frustrating. Mahomes was asked about all those guys and if he was trying to get more players involved or if that's just what the defense was giving him.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of how the game went. I think I said it last week. They were letting Trav and Tyreek get open, so I was giving them the ball. But if teams are going to really play over the top of Tyreek or try to double Trav at certain points of the game, then we have the guys that can make plays. And you saw that with the guys that are making plays today. And like I said, I have full confidence in those guys.
I think that's exactly the way to do it. I really do think that's the right mindset. Here's it's kind of a more of I won't say a theory, that's not quite right, but a bigger picture question here for Patrick Mahomes. Does a game like this reinforce the idea that when you have a chance to put a team away, you need to do it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what kind of the whole point. I mean, the interception was not only dumb in the sense that it was a bad throw, not even close to the receiver, but it was dumb at that point in the game. Even if I just throw the flat and he doesn't get the first down, we have a chance to decide if we're going to try to kick a field goal or punt and kind of pin him back. So, I mean, it's just a lot of little things in games like this that kind of form you to get losses in the end.
Yep. I mean, I think that I have very little that I disagree with Patrick Mahomes on, which is probably good for, my brand.
Don't worry on this last one. He says they should have actually ran it every down.
He wishes they would have run the ball 57 times and never tackled on defense. Well, we'll see. Last one from Patrick Mahomes here. He was asked what he said to Clyde Edwards-Helaire after the game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll need them the whole entire season. Don't let one play define you. I mean, it's a long season. Obviously, we lost. I mean, it's a good football team that we played at their place. But it's a long season, and if we want to be great, if we want to have a chance to try to make another run at this thing, he's going to be an important part of it.
There you go. That's Patrick Mahomes here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play and more power with Powerball with double play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, we're going to hear from the other side. Jim Harbaugh. I am tired and cranky. John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. We'll hear from them next. If you stop listening now, I'll forgive you. But if you want to stick around, Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson next here on Sports Radio 810.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join me and Tony Baselli from Lambeau Field in Green Bay. It's Aaron Rodgers and the Packers playing host to Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Both teams are looking to bounce back from losses in Week 1 and pick up their first division win of the year. Don't miss any of the action on Monday Night Football.
Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810, WHB. Hear exclusive Chiefs coverage every week from the best in the business. Only on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Trent Green, Adam Schefter, Tim Grunhard, Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick, Adam Kaplan, Chef Shadia, Nick Leckie, Gary Barnett, Sam Mellinger, Bill Moss, Mark Bowrichter, Stan Weber, Sam McDowell, Seth Kaiser, Blair Kirkhoff, Kevin Harlan, Field Yates, Jesse Newell, Cynthia Freeland, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The American Cancer Society's Coaches vs. Cancer Casey Season Tip-Off event is Wednesday, September 29th at Hy-Vee Arena. Coaches from KU, K-State, UMKC, and MU will be taking part in our mission to beat childhood cancer. Coaches vs. Cancer is about more than one night. It's about leading the fight. Where devoted volunteers, philanthropic companies, and world-class basketball coaches meet, you'll find Coaches vs. Cancer. Join our team as we attack pediatric cancer from every angle on September 29th by visiting cvckz2021.givesmart.com.
Crucial Staffing has been a vital component to the battle against COVID-19 nationwide. Their operation all starts in Kansas City, and they're committed to being a healthcare staffing and emergency management company that can handle nearly any staffing need with speed and quality. Crucial Staffing has the nation's largest volume of deployable clinical and non-clinical staff of reservists, who you can learn about by visiting crucialstaffing.com/contact or calling 888-222-6359. Explore more about the Crucial Crew today.
When you're ready to buy your next car, check out OneRequest. With inventory from nearly every dealer in the country, OneRequest offers a greater selection than other sites that are limited to only the dealers that pay to advertise. And at OneRequest, we don't sell or share your personal contact information. The other sites think your information is valuable, and that's why they sell it. We think it's valuable to you, and that's why we don't. Don't just search for your next car, OneRequest it. Visit OneRequest.com today.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Hey, it's Grunny. Every Thursday night at 6, Crunch Time Primetime is on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Me and my buddy Frank Bowe will bring you all the latest Chief news all season long. You know that I'm a big believer in CBD, so with a little bit of help from our presenting sponsor, American Shaman, we'll tell you a little bit about the latest products and their benefits. And if you want to try any of their great products, you can stop into any of the American Shaman stores for free samples. That's Crunch Time, Prime Time, Thursday nights, WHB.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's the shotgun snap. Jackson back to pass. He looks. He's hit by Sorensen, driven backwards. He is wrapped up and dropped. Back around the 20-yard line. Sorensen got there first and then got a little help from Alex Okafor, and the Ravens will punt it away.
It's nice to remember the good times. What was that again? I just heard the Ravens will punt. I was responding to a text. What was the Ravens will punt that away? What did that lead to there?
I don't remember.
You just played it.
I wasn't listening. It's tired. I'm tired.
You picked it.
It was a Dan Sorensen sack, and it was great. Dirty Dan.
Rudy, why don't you give Beards a Dirty Dan back there? See if we can get him to go home. No, don't leave. I know that you would love to. You're not allowed to yet. It is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810, of course. Time flies when you're really mad. I think that's how the saying goes. But it's been a good postgame show, even though it wasn't necessarily a great game to follow up. I will say there's some good news if you want to go buy CBD American Shaman tomorrow / now technically today. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your % off. They scored 35 points, so you get 35% off all day tomorrow. That's a deal. CBD American Shaman, life is better with the feather. Let's go to the other side of tonight's game and hear from Ravens head coach Jim Harbaugh. It is brought to you by
It's not Jim Harbaugh.
Did I do it again?
Yep.
Jimmy Harbaugh.
Let's go to Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh for whatever reason. I don't know why we got his post-game audio. They won yesterday, right? They're pretty good again?
I don't know.
I wasn't really asking you. I was asking Rudy. I knew you wouldn't know. Holy smokes. I'm sorry.
They probably won
everybody.
because they ran the ball.
We'll hear from Ravens head coach.
I did hear that apparently they have like the next Barry Sanders at running back, actually.
Can't wait for the Chiefs to draft him when they pick in the top 15 in 2 years. That was dark. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's go to Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. Opposing head coach press conferences are brought to you by our friends at Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search for Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. Here's one of the Harbaugh brothers.
Said it before, but I don't think I've ever been happier when we've said it. It's not perfect. It's not pretty sometimes, usually, but it is us. That's how our guys play, and I want our guys to play just like that all year, just better at times. And we're going to get better at all the little things. But proud of our guys. We can mention guy after guy. I'm sure you'll ask me. Just proud of our guys, and we're moving on to Detroit. What questions you have?
With the game on the line, you had George Pasher on NBC and saying to Lamar, "Do you want to go for this?" Was there ever any doubt?
No, there wasn't. But I just maybe I wanted to be sure myself. You know, I knew he was going to say yes. So. But we were going for it at that point.
Would there have been a doubt if there was any other player at quarterback who didn't have Lamar?
Well, Mahomes, I bet they're going for it too with Patrick Mahomes. How about that?
Could you just talk about the game that Greg Roman called as far as the balance and everything?
I thought Greg Roman called a great game. It was a well-called game, obviously, about as good as you can get. And it was a well-prepared game plan, him and the whole staff. And it was really a well-executed game plan by the players. But, Greg kept him off balance. He was running the ball. We took shots. We had some control passes. We had some RPOs. It was excellent.
Talking about Oweh, John, the last play he made out there, and even before that, the sack on Mahomes that caused the interception is a role that Oweh played tonight.
Yeah, we were in the huddle there, and we had so many things happen. I forgot to even mention his name in the huddle there, in the team huddle there. So I apologized to him afterwards because that's the kind of play that we envisioned him making. When we drafted him, and that's the kind of play that he and I talked about him making this week. As we were preparing, that he was going to play a lot more. Both him and Matabike, those are our two young guys, and those guys that earned more playing time. And man, they both played great. And for him to come up and make that play in that situation, it's something it'll be remembered for the rest of our lives.
John, how did you come back from those two interceptions like that and finish off the way you did? What did that say about his growth?
It's hard because it's rarely done. Obviously, that's the point of your question. And for our guys to come back, that's why I say it's us. I mean, our guys fight, and we fought last week, and they always will. And we got great leadership. These two guys right here coming together, grow up together, and that's the face of our football team right there. And I'm proud of those guys. I love them. I love being around them. I love everything they stand for, And I told them last night in the meeting that it would be an honor for all of us coaches to take the field with these guys, and it was. And even if the game had gone the other way, I told them it was an honor to be on the field with them. No matter what the outcome is. You don't mourn outcomes. You mourn people. You work on process. But you can celebrate victories. And that's what we're doing tonight.
John, there's so much with, Stanley wasn't able to go. There's a lot of talk about the offensive line this week.
How did you think they played? Was Stanley close to playing?
They stepped up big time. Ronnie's we're gonna look at that whole situation, and we'll have more for you probably in the next week and a half. We'll know more. So he was not close to playing this game, no. For Alejandro to move over there and play the way he did for the offense, and Pat McCurry.
Played great.
Yeah. Alejandro played great. Yeah, he did play great. The whole line. Well, that's Lamar. Lamar did it in the line. He did it. I kind of gave Lamar a high five. Lamar comes up and says, "Coach, the O-line. The O-line. The O-line played great. They all played great."
John, sorry. Just from like a kind of a macro level here, I know you hate going big picture on us, but what do you think fans here and watching in primetime were treated to tonight? Just like back and forth, just up and down football here with you guys pulling it up.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it from our perspective. I mean, we're inside. We're the Ravens, and that's us. I mean, that's what makes me proud of these guys. Makes me proud to be around these guys every day. That's who we are. To see our guys do that, that's what they do. I'm proud of them.
John, what do you think this means? I mean, nationally especially, there was talk about, and Lamar heard it, 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. What do you think it means for him to have a game like this tonight on national television?
I tell you, I'm happy for him. We love each other. We got all of us have each other's backs. We want to win every single game. So, whatever it means, it means something different to all of us. It means something. I can tell you what it means to me. It means a lot to me. But you know what? We got the Lions coming up in 7 days, and we're going to be thinking about that real soon.
John, the play before the fourth down, to call that pass, I guess what does that say about your faith in Lamar to complete that play and also his skill and poise and actually get it done?
It says that I have complete confidence in Lamar Jackson to make every play, and I wish I'd have put him in better position last week, to make a play. So those things, I'll just never, ever not have faith in him to make a play in any situation.
John, we saw Owe at the line of scrimmage redirecting Kelsey. You guys had some injuries defensively. How difficult was it to adjust to what they were doing, and how big was it for that defense to make that critical play down stretch?
I'm glad you brought that up because our defensive coaches, starting with Don Martindale, and the coaches came up with just a tremendous game plan. Talked about the offensive game plan. The defensive game plan was just as good. And it was some things they hadn't seen before, certainly not from us. Many things they hadn't seen from us. Our players executed well. Plus, we had a lot of guys banged up, nicked up, so many young guys playing on defense who played well and came up big. They made their plays. It's a great offense. But it was a great game plan by the defensive coaches and well executed.
John, you gave Lamar a huge hug at the end of the game. Did you say anything to him?
I don't even remember. You remember Lamar? All right, thanks, guys.
That's a great press conference from John Harbaugh. Just has an awesome mindset that feels like it's working there. I mean, every press conference sounds better after a win, right? But I don't know. That's pretty good stuff there, I think, from the Ravens head coach. We'll hear from the Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson. As soon as I get a thumbs up from Beards, when we move on to Lamar, I'll be interested to hear what he has to say about how the game went for the Ravens, and also, again, specifically for Harbaugh there. He mentions what Don Wink Martindale was able to show the Chiefs that they had not seen from the Ravens before. I believe worked out okay. It wasn't perfect. The Chiefs still scored 35 points, but a pretty good effort. Here's Lamar Jackson.
Being 0-3 against the Chiefs, what does it feel to finally beat the team that you used to call your kryptonite?
Yeah, I called him that one time, Mr. Jameson. One time. Yeah, man. Yeah, it felt good. It felt good to get that monkey off our back. It just felt good. Got to move on to Detroit now. We ain't win the Super Bowl yet. It's just one game. We just got to keep staying focused.
Lamar, what was the conversation with Coach like before that last fourth down call?
Oh, you want to go for it? I'm like, hell yeah. Again, I said it again. Like Seattle 2 years ago. And he told me to play. I'm like, we should spread him out. And Coach James Irvin, my QB coach, he like, you got to go. I'm like, man, I got to get this first down no matter what. I got to jump, dive through a defender. And O-line did a great job pushing those guys back. Got the first down for the victory.
What do you think it says 4th and 1 you don't feel like you can make? Should you always go for it?
I feel like we can make anything. I feel like we can make anything. It was just, I say spread them out. I never say don't go for it. I never say punt it or nothing like that. I just say spread the defense out a little bit. But Coach called a great play, and we made it happen.
Lamar, what do you think it says about this team? All the injuries have been all the talk. Go against the Chiefs team that's really, really good. You still come out victorious. What's it say about this team?
Our team's strong. You know, we together. You know, just keep building, keep stacking, and keep staying focused. You know, that loss, that close loss in Las Vegas, I feel like it gave us a little boost, and it didn't slow us down. You know we can be at, and we showed a little bit tonight. You know, we just got to keep getting better because I threw two first quarter interceptions, one for a pick six, first drive. That pissed me off. Then I threw another one in the red zone that pissed me off, trying to force something, trying to make something happen too fast, and instead of just, you know, driving the ball down, feel like we did. And just got to stay focused and just keep doing what we're doing, we'll be fine.
How did you maintain your focus despite those and then get back on track?
You know, I know my team going to look at me. You know, if I'm out there just messing up, you know, it's going to be like, God damn, like, what you doing? You know, so it's like, I got to do it for my guys. My guys have my back. You know, the first two interceptions, they like, man, you good. You know, you got that out the way. Let's just play. I'm like, yeah, all right, I got to play now. You know, that's over with, and that's what we did.
How good were you feeling about your chances when you score? You somersaulted in, and then you see that Patrick Mahomes has 3 minutes on the clock.
I seen the 3 minutes on the clock. I'm like, damn. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of time. If he do score and get 3 points, we just going to have to do the same thing. You know, we're going to have to respond. But our defense held their own. They did a great job. You know, they gave us that ball back. I had faith in them, though, because I did talk to Snoop on the sideline. I said, we just need to turn over real quick, and it happened. Sure.
Lamar, I know you're just a fan of football in general. What do you think this game, how much fun was this game? I mean, this national TV game and two of the best quarterbacks in the league kind of going toe-to-toe.
Well, I know for the fans, it was a great show. You know, we, like you said, we're going back and forth. It's looking crazy when like I said, I threw 2 picks first quarter, one for a pick six. It's like, oh, they might lose again, you know, but we held our own. You know, we stayed focused. My team, like I said, they stayed with me. We came out on top. I know it was a great game. You know, they probably going to be looking for it again soon, but you know, it's a long way right now. We got a long season ahead of us.
You always have to answer questions about your level of eliteness and everything. Do you feel like this type of performance can kind of quiet questions?
You know, noise will go away, then it'll come back somehow. You know, it's going to always be like that. As long as I'm playing, I feel, you know, so I don't really care about it. You know, I'm just going to keep playing.
Mark, how would you rate that? Was it would you call that a somersault?
I fell on my butt cheek a little bit. Hey, I tell you. I just told him, I played. I fell on my butt cheek, but I'm good. You know, we came out the dub, and I had to get right. You know, if we had another drive in us, you feel me?
Lamar, what can a win like this do for your team?
I don't know yet. You know, we just got to keep building. You know, we happy right now. We just got the dub just like 20 minutes ago. We're going to let it sink in, you know, but, you know, we got the truck ahead of us, a long season ahead of us. You know, we just got to keep going.
Lamar, did you feel like you were in a zone tonight? I mean, the second half, just the way you were juking players, everything, did you feel like you were really in the zone?
I don't know. You know, I was just like, man, we got to score. We just got to take our time and score because we stopped ourselves. Well, I stopped us, you know, on them turnovers. And that's just all it was. You know, I wasn't looking at it like I'm in the groove. It's like we just got to keep scoring, that's all.
Lamar, did you know, knowing John like you do after playing, you know, here for a couple of years, did you know he was going to go for that? You know, when you saw Sammy?
You know, in my mind, I'm like, damn, we should go for it because we close. But then when I went to go into the sideline, coach like, you want to go for it? I'm like, hell yeah, like, no doubt. Like, and we did. You know, we came out with success.
There's Lamar Jackson. I think that across the board there, you've got a coach and a quarterback on the same page in terms of going for it on 4th and short, landing on his butt cheek on a somersault. I remember those days when the Chiefs did things that resulted in somersaults into the end zone. That should have been a taunting penalty, by the way. Like, I think it's stupid that the NFL is doing what they're doing with taunting penalties. But if you're going to do a somersault and throw the ball into the stands or into the air or whatever, that's a part of the point of emphasis, right?
But also the refs are totally rigged for Kansas City to win every game.
That's right. That's right. It's all
if you look
scam.
at Ravens Reddit, which I did.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go on a Chiefs Reddit now.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna see all that good Ravens stuff that I had.
You had a lot of good Ravens stuff.
I had some good stuff, man.
None of it's gonna see the light of day. All right, well, we made it to 1 a.m., which means it's time for us to wrap it up. Thank you for listening to tonight's edition of the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery and brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. Enjoyed doing the show tonight, even though I didn't enjoy the way that the game ended. If you missed any of it, but somehow you're listening right now, we'll put it up on the podcast pages. We'll put it up on the additional programming page and also the Almost Entirely Sports feed, because why not? Doing it, just make it easier for you to find the podcasts wherever you get them. We'll have coverage for you, of course, all day tomorrow right here on Sports Radio 810, breaking down this game. And maybe just breaking down as the Chiefs lose their first game of the 2021 season, fall to 1-1 at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens with a 36-35 loss. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for listening to the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
This is Stephen St. John. The Alzheimer's Association